Imagine Seth Green loose on the floor of the Dome, in front of more than 70,000 screaming, yelling, chinging fans. So what's it like to be Seth Green tonight?
The spirit is amazing. Cha-ching! Here's that rainy day they told me about, and I laughed at the thought.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
Welcome to the Bombadcast.
What's up, everybody? It's me. It's Jerry. It's the Cannon Junkie. Listen, it's great to be here with you all tonight. We've got an exciting show for you with a couple of very special guests, returning guests, friends of the show, possible friends IRL, as the kids say. But listen, guys, welcome to the Bombadcast. And actually, William, that was not yogurt. That was a Frosty. We all know how much Paul loves his Frosties. So, he tries to do the Dairy Queen thing with them where they turn it upside down. It never works. But yeah, anyway, listen, George Binks, nice deep. Okay. Is this, I don't like your avatar, whoever you are. I don't like it. My finger is hovering. Anyway, guys, you've reached it. You've reached the Thursday oasis that is the Bombadcast, a weekly Star Wars experience live on YouTube every Thursday, streaming into your house. We're in your cable now. We're in the vents. It's great. We love it here. Guys, welcome. But we don't only do the Bombadcast. We also do a couple other shows. We do on every Wednesday. Scotty actually does Bombad Gaming. Although last night I was on with him, and we squatted up with a good friend Trey and Michael Modelo Michael, and we kind of pwned a lot of 12-year-olds last night. It was kind of fun. But yeah, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. Yeah, come join Scotty for that. Now, listen, we also do every other Saturday Hyperfocus. Now, Hyperfocus is actually about to go on a little, it's going to go in carbonite, I think, until the beginning of the new year. But Hyperfocus is where I sit down with, a guest from the Star Wars fan community, wherever you might, find someone who is interested in space wizards and other things. And we talk about things that they're interested in that may not be space wizards. It's a great time. But you're here again on a Thursday, and I'm going to stop rambling because clearly I've worked too many hours this week. I'm going to bring in my co-host with the most, the Sherlock Holmes to my Watson. Is that what it was? Or vice versa? I don't know. Maybe my Moriarty. Who knows? Scotty Jarod, please come in, sir.
What's going on, fam? How we doing?
Oh,
we vibing?
Pretty
Are we
great.
vibing?
We're
Are we
vibing.
vibing? We're gonna vibe with
Vibing.
2 people tonight. We're gonna stick we're gonna vibe. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna make sure
I didn't know if you wanted to finish that sentence or not.
We take our double-ended lightsabers and we're just gonna vibe. You know, we're gonna vibe. We're gonna vibe. It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna
Just so much vibing.
Just me and Scotty in a double-ended
lightsaber of 2 heavy hitters in our Star Wars fan community, 2 friends of ours.
2 ends.
Double-ended. Just so much is happening.
Double-ended, going nuts, going to town.
God, so having a great time. Yes, we have someone at the bottom of our studio doing some cool lightsaber things with his hands, and that's exactly what it is. I agree.
Yeah.
Wow. That being said,
listen, guys, this is a great week. It's great to be here. Me and Scotty are back. We're back.
That's right.
Yeah.
We are back.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here. Super pumped to have this discussion this evening. One thing I do want to plug real quick, if you don't mind, Jerry.
Excuse me, young man.
Ooh.
Excuse me.
Teen
Respect
recovery.
your elders.
If you haven't yet and you want to be a part of the Patreon, $7 a month. We're getting some things worked out right now, but good news, we are doing special segments live. We have a Patreon live discussion show every Wednesday from 7:15 to 7:45, where we talk about the newest episode of Andor. But also, very happy, I worked on this with my buddy Alden, who's going to be joining us today last weekend, or I guess 2 weeks ago almost at this point. And the first episode is already dropped on Patreon, so if you want to check it out, patrons, it's there, the Crazy Teacher series. And all that being said, this guy's going to get brought up a couple of times. We also got a great show called Canon Junkie Corner with Jerry, where he will read wonderful Star Wars novels to you. Look at his face. But all that being said, we got to bring in our wonderful guest. Let's bring in everyone's favorite loser. Okay, I got a little video for everyone's favorite loser real quick.
Oh, yes.
God, we love a good loser here.
Have sex, excel. Put my hands against, put my best, put my 10, put my spend. Have sex, excel. Ultimately, casual.
There we go.
I can't believe how much of an intro I get now. Like I get a full.
Wait. Where the hell is Alden? I thought we were bringing in Alden.
Oh no, I'll bring him in next. I'll just bring him in real quick. Hold on.
Oh, my bad.
I'll bring Alden in. Give me 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
Dark
Jerry,
Jedi.
happy to see you too, bud.
I know that took no time to just shit on you for 2 seconds. That was incredible.
Wow.
I was waiting for Alden.
By the way, that double-ended lightsaber, you actually can control it with your tips. Yeah, just send us tips in the thing here.
Oh,
and
okay.
it will control our lightsaber.
Good God, Scotty! Wow, I knew what he meant.
Let's bring in Alden Diaz real quick.
This show's great.
I had a clip prepared for Mr. Diaz for no reason in particular.
Your children and your children's children will be subjugated. They will be asked, have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci!
Perhaps you remember your first edible. The recount to take us off the air tonight. That is our broadcast.
No.
I love Alden. Ramen. He's muted too. It's the
Yeah,
best part.
Ramen Diaz is
Steady
muted.
talking.
So that wasn't his laugh?
Look, I'm not producing. You guys can unmute me. What is this?
That's
What
true. I
is
think
this?
I can. Wait, maybe.
This
No,
is,
I can
you've
mute
seen,
and unmute
you've
you.
been on
That's
the
true.
show. This is how we produce.
You
We
can-
produce
you
by
can
step
mute
by
and
eight. Hey, idiot! Turn your mic on.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate the Brian Williams edible drop there for no particular reason.
There you go.
By the way, Brian Williams' daughter, Allison Williams, is the crazy ass in Get Out. Jordan Peele's
What?
Get Out. People don't realize that she's a nepo baby. Yep.
Oh,
And
sick.
not unlike Brian
We love a
Williams,
Nepo baby.
Alden has also lied about being shot down in a helicopter in Afghanistan.
Correct. Also, Jerry, I would like to point out something that happened on the show. There's already a controversy on this Bombad episode.
Oh no, I know.
You
I know
thought-
the tips thing.
No, not the tips thing. You thought that he was introing me, but he said loser. He didn't say winner.
That's true. I was trying to make a joke in that.
I'm
it was clearly
undefeated.
Jarod. It was clearly Jarod, and that's what the
I've
joke.
beaten more
Listen,
people.
do
than
I have
you,
to
though.
explain my jokes now? Like even the freaking Twitter bot that can replicate tweets can't replicate me. So anyway, all right, yeah. So it was like, let's listen. Let's start this piece of shit.
So
here we go. Let's go.
Happy to
I've
have all of
beaten
you
more
here.
people than Alden.
It's
That's
great
very
to be
okay.
here.
Let's let it. I'm still above you. That's why I did it this way. I'm very, very, very psychological. You gotta realize it's.
I'm gonna punch you when I meet you.
runs so
I am
deep,
just
dude.
gonna
God, it
throw
runs deep.
a just right hook, and then we'll be cool for the rest of the visit.
Pour water in your head. All right. That being said, happy to have you both here. We had leading into this, we had about a 6-minute pre-discussion on this episode. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And we may even say that for the very last a bit, because it's maybe the hottest moment to discuss. But that being said, Alden, you were lucky enough to see this first episode at Celebration. And for the folks at home, Celebration does premiere a lot of stuff, but these shorts were like right at between 13 to 18 minutes, I think, at most.
Yeah.
So, Alden, you watched that first episode. Was there any commentary or anything like that was very interesting that came of that? Because this was all kind of, we knew it was in the works, but this was all kind of a big reveal at Celebration. That wasn't a huge panel either. This wasn't like a major panel.
Yeah, this was middle of Saturday afternoon panel, and it was one of those things where it had gotten out independently maybe of what they wanted, because that Lucasfilm crew gift was going around that said like Bad Batch and Mandalorian, and it had just the logo for Tales of the Jedi, and no one knew what that meant. And lo and behold, here it was. But even going into the panel, we didn't know what Tales of the Jedi meant. I think a lot of us assumed, okay, if this is an anthology thing, kind of sounds that way. We get to the panel. It's Amy Ratcliffe hosting. Dave Filoni is the guest. They're discussing it. That's when they start to reveal aspects of what the show is going to be. It's going to be half Ahsoka, half Dooku, 3 and 3. It's going to tell. They didn't outright say what a lot of us inferred, which was, well, that makes sense thematically. These are the two that left the order to very different reasons, et cetera, et cetera. But some of the character selection reasons were touched on. A lot of the themes were touched on. That's where they announced. That's where they showed art of young Dooku and young Qui-Gon. It's where they announced that Liam's son, Michael Richardson, would be voicing young Qui-Gon with him. And they used the words with him, which confused us at the time. We were like, is it going to be like a voice melding thing? But they did not play the card that one of the shorts takes place in Phantom Menace, which was an amazing reveal to experience. That was not shown at the panel. And we'll talk about that when we get to that Yaddle episode. But yeah, they do this whole panel. It's a beautiful discussion. The story of how it started is literally like, because Dave lives on the East Coast, but he works on the West Coast, so he flies a lot. And he was saying that while on the plane, he started to think about, and we've known in canon for a long time that Plo Koon found Ahsoka and that they have that relationship. And he was like, I'm on the plane and I'm doodling and I'm coming up with, well, what about a pre-story? Like what leads to that moment? What is her family life like? What is her home like? So then they segued into this funny story of him calling up Carrie Beck from Lucasfilm and saying, I think I have an idea for another thing. And her being like, oh, and he's like, yeah, we need to find the money for that though. She's telling him, she's like, we need to find the money to do another show. Because he was saying, because like Dave Filoni created Bad Batch, but Dave Filoni does not run Bad Batch day to day. It's not that player. That's Jennifer Corbett, and Brad Rao is the supervising director. So this was Dave coming back like more to day animation. He made it very clear on that panel. You could tell Dave that entire weekend like was a little bit not salty, but he was a little loose. Like it felt like
very loose.
It felt like he had like lost his patience a little bit in a good way. Like he was saying things that needed to be said. He was shutting some stuff down. He was like, he was saying, people like to say I abandoned animation for live action. That's not true. That's not the case. I love animation. This is me coming back and doing this. They found the money to do it. And he started talking about it, and they talk about all this stuff, and it's this big exploration. And then all of a sudden he was like, well, we want to show you something. And it's the trailer. And it's the trailer that came out later. And then they were like, Dave goes, hey, I didn't really talk about this beforehand, but Amy just found out, like, hey, you want to just show the first one? And that was just like nuts. And that was the Baby Ahsoka one. It was complete Like, and he was talking about how the Bad Batch animation taking the leaps that it took, because like the leap from Clone Wars to Rebels is significant. Even though Rebels had less money, the McQuarrie style sort of helped it. From Rebels to Resistance, again, a style change that helped it. But the leap from like Rebels to Clone Wars Season 7, astronomical.
Unreal.
And then even Clone Wars Season 7 to Batch has a leap where like some of the greenery in Batch looks so real that got in his head. And that plays into the Baby Ahsoka one. They played it. All this to say, before we talk about the Baby Ahsoka short, he finishes it and Dave says what's been in my brain for months now. He's talking about Baby Ahsoka and this tiger creature and how she reaches out to it. And he says, is she using the Force or is she just not afraid? Or isn't that the same thing?
Oh,
and
nice.
you could hear the whole crowd go, oh, hell yeah. Like the whole crowd was like, oh yeah,
collective creamed of the jeans.
You literally heard George Lucas up in Modesto go, like,
right?
Yeah. Pretty good. That's why I said that to him once.
Yeah.
Like,
he just reaches over and just cracks a Diet Coke and just Dave.
Yep.
Dave.
Yeah. He was like, he could feel a cold one with the boys.
That is a great line, though, dude, because that's what all this show has been, for the most part. And I actually wrote that down when we get to that episode. There's like something I noticed too about that. It was amazing. Alden, that was a pretty damn good panel. Like, I'm shocked I missed that because I had been fortunate to get some VIPs and I did not see that.
Day. Yeah, it was a packed day. I think that was the day of the Bombad meetup.
That was during
it might have been the same time. Yeah, it was also the same time as the Ponkrell Stan meetup.
I was gonna say they were close by somewhere. I think.
Yeah, which they tried to take over your stuff there, but
it was also the day if you weren't at Celebration and you were watching the TNAP live stream, the day I had a nervous breakdown live on air.
Cool. And he still
I don't know why
blames
my
Willow
camera
for
only
this.
flickers when I'm the only person on screen. It has been happening for like 3 days now, and it's making me angry. Epilepsy warning. Close your eyes while I talk. But yeah, no, I just wanted to make that joke real quick. You can stop now. Thank you.
Yeah, his mental breakdown was caused by Willow. He's still processing it.
No.
Listen.
Fake news.
Warwick Davis loves us all. Okay, Jared.
He does.
It's fine.
Yeah. So the panel was great. It was but it was during that. I mean, that day had Mando Plus. It had Tales. In between Mando Plus and Tales, without a panel, they dropped the Jedi Survivor trailer.
Yeah, I remember even Trey and Bill when that dropped. We're just sitting there. I'm like, what the hell? This is insane.
They also casually announced Young Jedi Adventures, which we now know more about, which is coming next year on Disney Junior, Disney Plus. So lots of stuff, but we had an idea of what Tales was.
We're talking about the High Republic.
The what?
I don't know. Scotty hates it. Yeah.
The High Republic is a publishing initiative where they are actually taking some pretty interesting leaps and bounds story-wise.
Shadows of the Empire.
It's a couple hundred years before. No, it's a couple hundred years before your favorite Star Wars movie, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
that's the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. That's true. Yeah, I like that one. But one thing I will say, that was the same day that Paul showed up at Celebration, so I was preoccupied with whatever was happening there.
We were having to wrangle him.
We had to wrangle him. He walked. You remember he walked there.
He was yelling at people from the balcony.
Spot on TNAP that night during that live recap of the day.
Paul had an appearance. That being said, that was a stacked day. One thing that came out of this show that doesn't normally happen, and we're in a big group chat together that we call the Goon Squad, and in our group chat, we sent the leaks from this show because this show inevitably leaked by this one Twitter page that ended up getting shut down. Like, they got DCMA, is that what it is? They got like
DMCA'd, yeah. Well, because the thing about those leaks, and like, this is not to speak for Bombad or TNAP. Anyone that knows me, I am vigorously anti-leaker.
Yeah.
I will go after them. It pisses me off. It's anti-art. It's anti-the company.
Anti-story.
It's anti-story. I don't want to tell tales out of school, but I know for a fact certain creators that are very angry about them. But the thing about those leaks is that they had to have come from inside because it was like cell phone footage of a work print. So it's like it looked like it was happening from in the office, and but spoilers, by the way, for Tales, if you're watching this, that's on you. Yaddle's death had been on Google Images for like 2 months.
Yep.
So I know people that Googled Yaddle just out of curiosity, being like, "Oh, how did she die in Legends?" And then they saw that she died in a show that wasn't out yet. So yeah, it was an interesting experience, but we still got some fun Yaddle surprises, like Bryce Dallas Howard voicing her.
Oh yeah,
which
the leaks.
nice.
The thing, the leaks they came as a surprise for us because like these animated shows you never leak. Like these are like maybe the most tight knit of the shows, and to have this one kind of leak was very interesting. And like you said, that must have been come from an eternal factor. But when I went into the show, obviously when it was announced, I didn't know what to expect from it for the most part, besides what we were already told. But yeah, I it took me a minute because I watched this on the flight home from my trip to the Kiss Cruise. And on the flight home, I watched this full thing and like I was exhausted, but it's still like emotionally hit. And I don't know if y'all consider what episode you enjoyed the most, but I have my answer briefly. If we don't have to share why just yet, but the reason why, you know, we all watch these, we all, you know, take different things out of watching these things. The one I like the most so far, and it may just because it takes place during the Phantom Menace, the Sith Lord was just like my absolute favorite watching this.
Same.
And like I rewatched it.
Same.
I was in tears watching it this time. I was like, my God, like this is the music. Everything was so good about it. What about you, Jerry? Did you have a favorite or anything like that?
I mean, if you have to pick one, it's probably that. But I remember, so I chose to watch this instead of Andor before I went to work because I thought that there would be more. I thought, well, because it seemed like the canon, like these are huge legacy characters, right? That we're dealing with, and so, you know, I didn't want anything from the Dooku stuff, mainly to be like ruined. I like the Yaddle stuff already. But anyway, no, yeah, it's probably that one. Honestly,
okay, cool.
But just like I overall, it's hard for me to pick because this, again, and to me, this made me want like a High Republic animated series. This entire run of things because it feels like I wrote down, especially I think it's the first two. What's it? Justice and
Choices.
The two. Justice and Choices. Well, yeah, it's the
Justice and Choices
of Dooku. Yeah,
very High Republic.
Very High Republic. They do, and Dooku is based on his age. He's technically one of the last High Republic.
He is one of the last High Republic. Jedi.
He's like the tail end of that.
He's like era. Dooku was a kid at the end of the era because the High Republic ends 50 years before Menace. So that would have been when Dooku and Sifo were kids. But yeah, it's I mean, I'm right there with you guys. It's probably the Sith Lord as my favorite. But I do think I like the Ahsoka ones. This is something that I talked about on my episode about it with Pink Milk that'll be out this coming Monday. It's this idea that it's nothing. I mean, we're going to talk about the specific Ahsoka controversy. We're going to save that. But yeah, on concept, I don't think it's not a shot at Ahsoka to say we're more excited about the Dooku ones. It's just that Ahsoka has become, before we even realized it, a standard. Ahsoka is now, she used to be, you know, in the 2000s, she was this new character. Then she was this sporadically used character. Now she's been in more Star Wars than Lando. She's been in more Star Wars. She's been in as much as like Chewie. She's just a legacy character at this point. I mean, she's
met Luke.
Yeah, she's met Luke. She's met Luke in a show that is in a Boba Fett show. She met Luke.
It wasn't even their show.
Interacted like she's been there. Her voice is in the conclusion of the Skywalker saga. So it's like she's just there. Whereas Dooku, while a main character, had way less material on him, and so and none of it was. We've seen Ahsoka from kid to grown woman.
Now
we had only ever seen Dooku as an elderly man,
old man. Yeah.
So this changed everything. So there was an enticement to the Dooku that like the Ahsoka ones enhance the Ahsoka story. The Dooku ones are like stories that you can insert. They almost function differently. And I think that it's not like Brian and I were talking about it. Brian from Pink Milk about how he was saying, and he's not wrong, that the Ahsoka ones don't add anything, and that he interpreted it and thought it was going to be a show that was about the 2 Jedi that left. But really, that's audience knowledge because none of the 6 have anything to do with their leaving. It's
good
we
point.
know Dooku left about a decade before Phantom Menace. We know Ahsoka left Clone Wars season 5. It's not about who left. It's about getting them, 1, 2, 3, each in their third. They make an emotional breakthrough, and it's either for the worst instinct or the better instinct.
Yeah.
And how these two sort of walking their own path, Dooku could have made a better choice, and Ahsoka could have made a worse choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going.
It's individual. It's basically like Tales of the Jedi, the namesake, was a comic run back in the old, Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Times.
No Odan in these 6 episodes, unfortunately.
No. but it almost feels like this is like a year of issue or like half a year of issues come out, and there's like you've got all these different Ahsoka stories, and then like an arc of Dooku.
Yeah.
So it feels like comic book a little bit.
Well, if I could jump in and kind of piggyback off of something Alden was saying, I hate this so much. It's only when you zoom in on me too. I was fighting with this for hours.
It doesn't look bad on our end though. You think you're I haven't seen it flicker once. Did y'all just see it flicker?
No,
I'm looking at my other screen right now.
Maybe it's
okay.
Maybe it's your idol.
It's flickering on my monitor, but I'm looking at the stream.
Over here, it looks fine. Watch, I'm gonna bring it big. It's not flickering at all for us.
That's weird. Okay, well, thank
You're
you.
good.
Maybe
So
take your elbow off the Eldritch deity. Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't
off the talisman.
Don't anger him.
I don't know what this is about. Hey, I'm a Zack Snyder movie. I'm being crucified. Anyway, it got all the appropriate laughs. No, I think that there's something really deeply like. I don't want to go as far as to say like a generational trauma, right? But there's like a generational legacy here because obviously Ahsoka, in some ways, barring Luke, is the end of this lineage of student and master, and you have 2 members of that lineage who both left the Order. Mm-hmm. So there's a weird and fascinating phenomenon where you have 2 Jedi who leave, like you said, for 2 very different reasons, but like one's leaving is in a butterfly effect kind of way the reason for another one's leaving. Mm-hmm. Like one's leaving leads to a war starting that galvanizes this other one into having to grow up as a Jedi a lot faster than her compatriots, and is then forced into this situation where she has a crime pinned on her she didn't commit, and that causes her to leave. And their journeys are very much connected, and it's one of the reasons why, for me, I really wasn't super into the Ahsoka stuff, is that Ahsoka's, for the most part, are like really fun. Hey, here's this thing we haven't seen Ahsoka do yet. Because there's very little of that.
Go to a funeral,
Ahsoka, yeah, but like Ahsoka is one of the few characters in canon who has a really well fleshed out timeline.
Yeah.
Like
even as a casual fan, you can almost predict where she is and what she's doing.
There are main characters who have huge blocks of time unaccounted for in canon that they didn't have in Legends. Ahsoka Tano is the biggest exception.
Yeah.
Where like we know what she was doing as a Padawan. We have an idea as to what she was doing as like a
in the dark times
lightsider. Yeah, during the dark times.
Rebels.
Dark Jedi.
Exactly. And we know what she's doing. Like
now we know she's at least advisory for Luke in some capacity.
The only big moment in her life that we don't know for certain is how it ends.
That's true.
That is the only thing that is still up for debate. And even Filoni was so cagey about whenever Ahsoka's voice is in Tross, where he's like, oh, who's to say she's dead? So like, for all we know, Ahsoka's going to live to be 170 goddamn years old. So like, she's the only character who has like this big, like a knowledge of her timeline. So I kind of felt like it was superfluous to be like, here's the first time Ahsoka used the Force, and not to bag on those and like critique them before we start really talking about like the meat and potatoes of a lot of these. That's where the Dooku stuff soars. Like there's a through line. You know, like you see Dooku in the field experience the reasons why he cannot abide by the Jedi anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We see him lose his religion.
You see
and
it
even
click.
though, like, yeah, and you see these vignettes, and what I would assume are like the big moments for him, barring stuff that happens in Dooku Jedi Lost, of course. That again, even though we as the audience know he's not a Jedi anymore by the 3rd chapter, maybe the audience at home doesn't know that, whatever, but we still know, like, we've seen, you know, Dooku the idealist, Dooku the disillusioned, but still there. And then by the time I get to chapter 3, we see Dooku the radicalized. And there is a heartbreaking story told there that for me is why the Dooku stuff just soars head and shoulders above the Ahsoka material.
Yeah.
I don't think the Ahsoka material is bad.
Nothing, yeah.
Bad. Like,
I don't think
pretty.
any of it's bad either. It's just like, I think you touched on it there. The Dooku ones, which if anyone's wondering, I mean, we're going to have a canon conversation, but if anyone's wondering, the Dooku ones, they fit perfectly into Jedi Lost.
Yeah.
So if you like those, I
do Jedi Lost.
hit me up. I will tell you, listen to this much, watch this short, listen to this much, watch this short.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then
Well,
it'll end there.
I can't wait till we talk about the Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Because like I had, because like Taylor hasn't watched Tales of the Jedi yet, because she hasn't seen much of Star Wars animation at all.
Right.
So like and that's like on our list of shit, you know, like once we're moved in and stuff, when we have the time to power through like 14 seasons of animation.
Yeah.
But I was I was like explaining to her like Pepe Sylvia style, like how batshit insane the Sith Lord is.
Yeah.
Like
it is so good.
Like,
yeah, it's amazing. Like it is
Jesus
so like
Christ.
the way that it so, and like you touched on it there, like it if you know that he left 10 years prior, it soars and it works. If you don't know, still works because it's like functionally he's in the building. It doesn't like, but the reveal, the non-reveal that you're in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
When Dooku's like, why are they like, what's going on?
Such a bold
and
decision.
she's like,
and
Qui-Gon Jinn fought and you're like, oh, we're right after Tatooine. Like, and then like cut to the title card, cut back, and you're at the end of Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So, you know, you were talking about watching this in Jedi or Dooku Jedi Lost, reading, then watching. I watched the Phantom Menace a little while ago and stopped after the scene where Qui-Gon tells them I encountered a Sith Lord, watched the cold open, then stopped, watched the rest of the Phantom Menace.
God, what was that like?
At the very end of the Phantom Menace, I watched the rest of that episode. Oh man,
because it's literally like they're on their way to Naboo for the funeral when this goes down.
It's pairing the best wine with the best cheese.
We can watch Phantom Menace now and know differently. When Qui-Gon's body is burning, Yaddle is being killed.
Yep.
Like it's like, or you know what? No, actually, because
it's a little before.
Yeah, because Palpatine's there. So which means Palpatine
left.
Palpatine jumped on like a JetBlue flight to Naboo. Straight out while before Yaddle's body was even cold.
Yeah. So technically, after he dies and everything, before the Jedi Council shows up, is when you should stop it again and watch that section.
Yeah.
And then watch the rest of the Phantom Menace. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Anyway,
it's great, Scotty. You should try it. It's great.
That's what George. But that's a George thing to do, and it's definitely a Dave thing to do now. And like to kind of tie it back to each episode. The first one, which Alden had seen, and a lot of people had seen, a lot of our friends had seen it, and had to kind of a lot of time to digest it. Life and Death. I watching that one and it's funny not to plug it, but it's very Campbellian. It's very Native American. It's very Avatar. You know, it's got that same aspect of like, you know, respecting life and then using death as a way.
It's honestly like it's
I thought of you exactly for Avatar.
It's a perfect doubleheader with the village bride from Vision.
It's exactly that. Yes, it's perfect. And like I don't know, you get
some
to
ramen
see so many
noodles, man, while you're watching the two. Man.
stand in a doorway.
Stay in your
Stay in the doorway.
Then you watch Breaking Bad right after.
That's perfect.
I'm gonna start calling you Ramen Diaz. That's what
Diaz.
I embrace that.
So it's weird. You watch it, and like the biggest parallel I saw was she's a lot like Grogu in the sense of like just being a child and like not seeing the Force as a thing so much as I guess it's not a power. It's just part of their existence. And like the part where and it was kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I was watching this on a flight where they killed that that deer kind of thing. That was really unsettling. And like even in like a movie like Avatar, it's kind of quick. It's like like we're gonna send you back to the spear, boom, stabbed, gone.
Hold on, wait a second. Have you been meaning Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, this whole time?
Yes.
Listen,
I thought you were saying Last Airbender.
No, not Airbender.
I should have known. I should have known.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it. I just thought you meant Last Airbender because of Filoni. Because Filoni worked on the first season. Yeah.
Sure. But in terms of this, like the whole like, you're gonna go back
out here trying to do the fucking hair on air.
But wait,
Jesus, you can't see right now. It's all Scotty left. It's like a giant ponytail in the back. Yeah.
Anyway,
was it the Talu? Whatever the hell.
Talu, yeah, that's right. Yep. That's
exactly
what it was.
Did you hear that, Eli? Do general movie trivia. I just pulled something from Avatar. Let's go.
That deserves like 30 points right there.
Honestly, because I was like, I thought you were making that up.
Could have just made that up. But
so you're watching it and it's kind of uncomfortable because even Ahsoka as a kid looks away and she's like, no, you gotta watch this. Like this is a natural part of life. And like this is a weird thing. I watched. This is something unfortunate. Hold on, Katie. This is I watched both my grandfathers die in a very like old man way. Just like
you did not just say hold on, Katie, and then segue straight into I watched both my grandfathers die.
Katie,
that was the most wild.
She wasn't there for either one of them.
I left the country.
She literally left to go to Mexico each time. It's not. I'm not doing a bit. Every time my grandfather died or a grandparent died, she happened to be in a foreign country. And I could not get in touch with her. It was the day they died. She got in her flight every time. Anyway, so let me get back to this. Love you. I see you.
There's so much. There's every time that happened, you have 2 nickels.
2 nickels,
which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
It did. So all that being said, to experience death in a very, I guess, old-fashioned way, just like Ahsoka did, to watch this animal die was like. I could relate to that. It was like, man, that's part of giving back to life. And she even did like a pseudo sign of the cross. She was like, she was like, sorry.
It felt like I was in Assassin's Creed 2.
Yes.
Or is it Requiat in pace? Like it really
so cool.
Or it feels like the beginning of Game of Thrones when Ned has to execute the deserter, and then he's like, Rob tells Bran, he's like, don't look away. Father will know if you do. Like, it's that idea of like life, death, justice, duty, honor. They're killing to eat. They're not killing for sport.
No,
but because it's circle of life stuff, it's like you got to be immersed in that. And I love that this little baby girl that we know is going to be Snips all the way up to Ahsoka the White. It's like, where does she come from? And it all builds to it. The short doesn't end with them being like, contact the Jedi, or she could be a Jedi, or she's force sensitive. It's she is Jedi. She is Jedi.
Yeah.
3 words.
Instantly.
She is, which
from
is
1 year old.
That's been her whole thing, her entire existence. Like, that's why she walks in season 5. It was not predestined, but it was thematically lined up here as a baby. All those people on that tribunal and everything that were like, oh, turns out you're innocent, but it was your trial, surprise. Like, she's
that doesn't mean to be
truth in her the whole
that's
time.
Not being a Jedi. That's not being a Jedi. You just found a way around it, Council. And then we come to find out the Council is flawed, obviously, later. But even in these shorts,
here,
they're like, the Council's like,
and this baby's more. I mean, that's why you have that arc. Is it when Cad Bane kidnaps in Clone Wars when you see a little Rhodian baby like lifting things? Like, that's why. The ball. Like, that's why but the training arguments never hold because it's about belief. Like, and children are born pure. Like there's this amazing comic that I highly recommend by Grant Morrison called Klaus, which is Grant Morrison's version of the story of Santa Claus. But Santa Claus is like an ex-soldier. He's got a sword and everything, and it's this whole like folkloric thing. And Santa like fights I can't believe I'm talking about this right now. Santa fights the Krampus, and Krampus is like, he says something about like bad children, and Santa just goes, "There are no bad children." And it's just like, it is like the most hard,
that is metal as shit.
Like, it is so cool, and it's so true. And it's like, of course she's able to calm this thing. Like she's able to do here what takes Ezra so long to learn, because Ezra has turmoil and pain.
Yeah.
But when you're pure and you haven't lived yet, you're in a pure state. You're like in Last Jedi, like the baby porgs that are just hatched. Like they just are. Ducklings are hatched knowing how to swim. A force sensitive thing would be attuned in the way that her people are, like they celebrate her, like sort of like the Mary Allens do as well. Am I saying that right? Mary Allens? I always Mary Allens. Yeah. No. I'm saying as well as the Mary Allens, like two species that are really celebrate their force sensitives. It for them to perceive that in her, and for her to have parents that probably like, it left me wanting the Plo Koon scene, like
of course.
I love this. This is my favorite of the Ahsoka ones, and I've seen people sort of get down on it a little bit, and that's fine. But I love it. But
it's like, it's got the Grogu aspect too, and like I think, and this is maybe just me, who I love sounds, but like I really think they pulled Grogu's Kuz and Kaz and put it like I think it
sounded
the same
a lot file. Like the same baby sounds. Yeah,
literally. I think
Scotty's maternal instinct kicked in.
Yeah, kicked in. My breast, my nipples got hard.
Okay,
God,
all
it was
right.
good.
I shouldn't have said it.
I
shouldn't open the door.
Your first mistake was thinking you could get away with nipple play on Bombadcast. Well, first, I just want to say, as a seminal broadcaster of our time once said, life is very fragile, and in many ways, giving life is giving death.
Gentlemen.
I got so excited. I got so excited when I heard his voice.
Dude,
how sad is that?
He just catches us off guard.
He gets winded.
He gets so excited. I forgot you had that clip too, because in the back of my mind I went, man, I wish I could play my Alex clip, and then you did it. And
there you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
What did he say? But what did he say? Because he's got great insight.
Life is very fragile, and sometimes giving life means giving death. They're not in the same sentence, but those are two actual Alex Jones quotes.
Okay.
If attributed to someone else, that would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Like if that was like, if you had say it again in a normal voice.
Life is very fragile, and in many ways, sometimes giving life is giving death.
If you
see,
told
that
me
sounds profound.
If you
Joseph
told
Campbell.
me, Joseph Campbell, yeah. If you told me that like Porter Angle or like Kit Fisto or like somebody like that said it, I would believe you.
You ready?
Hook, line, and sinker. The Bendu.
Are you ready for it to get less profound?
Yes.
In many ways, in my opinion, in a very Jungian fashion.
Oh no.
Giving life does mean giving death. That Jordan B. Peterson.
Oh,
no,
God.
Get him out of here.
Ooh.
Let me be clear. In many ways, giving life sometimes means giving death. Anyway, okay.
By the way, can we get Barack on Bombadcast? Remember that time
I've actually
Barack
thought about that.
Badcast.
Remember
Dude,
Barack Badcast?
Bombad.
Bombad.
Yes.
But wait, do you remember that speech?
Broadcast.
Remember that speech in around Force
Yes.
Awakens where he was like,
Yes.
"All right, everyone, I gotta go see Star Wars." Like,
Yes, and he walked off. There's pictures of him
He's
with a
gotta come on.
lightsaber
I've
too.
never
Someday
seen
it'll
that
happen.
clip.
Thought about this. Good God, why are we
I've
doing
never
this
seen
right
that
now?
Create his,
clip.
his
you never seen that?
poster,
That's
just
great.
like Bombad or something. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh,
who are
good.
Barack's people? Are they on IMDb Pro? I gotta check. Probably not.
But
Could you imagine? Anyway.
But anyway, I love everything you guys have been saying about this episode, and I do agree with a lot of it. My issue, as is the case with a lot of the Ahsoka stuff, is that like it ends right before it gets really interesting. And I hate to be that guy, but like, save for the incredibly controversial one that has become a chore to talk about on the internet, you get everything you need from the Ahsoka shorts in the trailer.
You do. That is the unfortunate thing.
Like every beat of this first episode, which granted was shown at Celebration, and that's fair. But like you get all the beats in the trailer of like, we're hunting. Oh no, the tiger. Force boop. Ahsoka is Jedi. You get that all in the trailer.
Yeah.
And that even applies to the second Ahsoka one. Because the
you're
trailer's out for 30 seconds. And then what's everybody say on the internet?
Yeah.
She did the flip. She did the flip.
Well,
the
that's
Anakin taught her the flip.
But
And
the
like,
thing that I will say, you're not wrong, but is that I think it plays better. First of all, we should address one thing that I forgot to say about it. The deliberate, in the same way that Visions is like, you can watch Visions in any order, but it's ordered like an album. It's
yes.
And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's
like,
taste. There's
I love your funny words, Magic Man.
The decision. You're such a weirdo. The decision to go from Ahsoka, then all of Dooku's arc, and then Ahsoka, I think was very deliberate. And I like, even though hers are more supplemental, this so beautifully enhances early Clone Wars, mid Clone Wars, and then middle Clone Wars, and then I hate the word mid, God. And then the Siege of Mandalore, like actually stitching us into those events.
It does.
I think that I had fun with it because when it starts and she's got one blade, I'm like, when did she get the second one? Oh, season 3. Okay, so I know where we are. Mm-hmm. Then there's that knockout wake up, and time has gone by.
Oh, it's good. That was good.
2, and obviously, so the editing and the directing, even if you could pick up the beats in the trailers, I think earns the keep, and the fact that it does still speak to, I think, some of the criticisms thematically with the Dooku one of Anakin not thinking that the Jedi have a realistic perspective on what preparations need to be in training, and how even though he falls that day, his teaching saved her that day, which was, of course, the flip.
Ellie, it's
like,
really cool. It's great.
It is
really
great.
And that's the thing, is that like,
and Obi-Wan mullets came back. Obi-Wan mullet.
Yes.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. From what I understand, it won't be out until like next year. But I went on an episode of Galaxy of Film to talk about Tales of the Jedi, and they brought up well, this must take place like super close to Attack of the Clones, and I got to be like, oh no, it doesn't. And it's really funny that it doesn't, because that means he grew it back out.
Out again.
That means that because he cuts it in Brotherhood. And that means that at some point in the first couple of years of the war, he was like, man, fuck Anakin. I'm growing it back.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
I'm trying to make it work. Fabulous, and hit him. Yeah.
And then his life falls apart and he grows it out again.
Yeah,
because it's in the Kenobi show.
It's his comfort mullet.
Well, I
he
do
kept
want to
trying to get everyone to call him Obi Main Kenobi too, which was just not going to work.
Let me ask you this: do you want to go episode by episode? Do you want to just kind of continue the Ahsoka conversation and then lead into the Dooku? Because I'm fine with it being that way too. Because either way, we flowed pretty well between those two.
Yeah.
I
want to say one Joseph Campbell quote that I wanted to bring up, because it is actually really applicable to that first episode of Ahsoka. I'll read it to you. It says, "Life is always on the edge of death. One should lack fear and have the courage of life. That is the principal initiation of all heroic stories." And like, I just watched this 2 days ago, and I like had this in mind. I'm like, that is literally what Alex Jones says, but that's also literally what Dave said, dude. At that panel,
it sounded a lot like the Alex clip.
That is also exactly what Dave says. One should lack fear and have courage for life. I'm like, that is
that's what, Dave Filoni. Dave says that George told him, never be afraid, make no decision out of fear, or to make no decision out of fear. Like it's George giving him the assignment of Clone Wars. Like he hired a bunch of 2D animators. and then said, you're going to make it 3D and you're going to make it like this, and we're going to block it like we block live action. You're going to direct it like we direct live action. And they're saying that hasn't been done. And he's like, you're right. And you're going to do it.
To do it. Yeah.
I know you can.
What it is.
And yeah.
Can't fear it.
So it's the lack of fear. And I think that her getting back up with the clones, with it being Rex, with the fact that it's Jesse that's also there, and Jesse will be the one that they clash with in the siege. That was a great thematic touch.
Yeah.
Seeing
the whole,
Terrace
sorry, Commander.
Yeah, this was also a whole canon thing that someone tweeted. Matt Martin and me and Matt both ended up, they sort of, obviously I don't need to confirm him, he works there, yeah, but like we put out that little fire like, oh, but Caleb is with Depa, but he doesn't become her Padawan until the end of the Clone Wars. It's like, you know how many initiates met every master all the time?
They clearly had talked too.
There's
like, if I
classes,
remember correctly.
well, yeah, because when he meet in Kanan's origin, like he sees her injured in the tube and everything, and he doesn't really recognize her. And then it's after that, amongst many classes, that he finally does become her. But this is a many masters are sitting there training session with Skywalker. He could just be a kid watching. So it's like people are so there's real things to talk about, and we'll get to them. But then there are these things, and it's like, could you have some imagination?
Yeah, I agree. But like, yeah, Jerry, what's up?
You know what's a real thing though that we can talk about that hasn't been talked about yet is how badass Ahsoka's mom is.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah,
because whenever the tiger comes up, that's one thing we didn't get in the trailer, and this was my favorite part of that episode of any of the Ahsoka stuff. Her mom just like growls at the frickin' like that. Was so effing dope.
Yeah.
Like it like I shout for joy every time I see it and everything. It's just like, and just like that whole fight between her and the thing is just it's
beautiful.
Anyway,
I mean, that's why
great.
Ahsoka inherits that.
I love how
she faces down people that logically, statistically, probably should be able to destroy her. You know, she faces Grievous as a kid with other kids in her charge, and so it's like what she's able to take and the way that it because of Caleb's inclusion and because of her mom's inclusion, it creates this like there's the Yoda to Ahsoka, comma and Luke lineage, comma and Leia, comma and Ben. But there's that whole idea of that lineage, but then there's also the spiritual thing that's happening where Ahsoka didn't know her mom really because they get taken as toddlers, but she's still there, and Ahsoka and Caleb weren't of the same class, but it's like we see him watching her, and we know that they're gonna face down darkness together on Malachor. Years later, she's gonna help him train Ezra. Like,
well, and it's like it's the cousin lineage to that, because it's Mace to Depa to Kanan to Ezra.
Yeah.
It's like, and those two lines are related. And I do want to clarify, because you did tack on like Luke, Leia, Ben. The only reason why I didn't directly say that earlier, and this is its own weird conversation,
here we go,
is I never know if you can actually classify them as all part of the same lineage, because
the order's gone, so are they Padawans?
Because the sequel trilogy
not
didn't
even
happen.
that. Not even that. It's the way that it is like very like
there's a
straight down the line.
War.
Like it's not
Because
Ahsoka directly training Luke.
Yeah,
exactly. It's direct. And then there's
Obi-Wan
a Ben
and Yoda both
splinter.
train Luke, and then Luke trains Leia and Ben. Like it's its own offshoot, but just that
There's a
straight,
branch.
Yeah, but just that straight Yoda, Dooku, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. Hey guys, hey, how the hell are you guys doing?
Hey,
this is great.
I don't know which member of Scoundrels this is.
Great
but I loved
commentary.
all of them.
I was gonna say it doesn't
amazing
matter because they're
commentary.
all great.
Yeah,
Jesus, that's good.
But to defend. Yeah, I mean that's
That's a very great
Ahsoka.
point.
Unlike it's been laughed at, but it is a good point. Obi and Yoda, high body count that day. Ahsoka, zero body count that day.
Yeah.
I think the only clones she kills are like the first couple blaster bolts she deflects.
She buries all the clones after they die too.
Yeah.
Like, which again,
Oh,
she
it's
did
Frank
not
Danish.
kill. They die in the crash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hey Frank, what's
God,
up?
And that's the
beautifully
thing,
stated.
but even then, like they're all at point blank range, and all she could do is throw her lightsabers up. So like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even attribute those deaths to her.
And even but even then, the whole Rex gamble is to have as little loss of life as possible, and the whole. So they are, she's always had that in her, and that's why again she's truthful. That's why there's the two most misinterpreted lines in Star Wars. Number one is "Let the past die, kill it if you have to." That's not the theme of that movie. And then the second one is "I am no Jedi." That's not a literal position statement. That is not the Ahsoka Tano campaign platform. She's saying she's throwing that back at someone who she knows is Sky Guy. She's throwing it at him because he's trying to use it against her. When she says "I'm no Jedi," she's saying I'm not the Jedi that failed us, man. You and me. I'm your little sister. You're my big brother. I'm not that. I walked away, and your ass should have followed me. That's
and that didn't happen.
If Anakin had walked in season 5, like it's that.
Yeah.
So that's what this second short enhances for me is just the lineage, the emotions. Again, Ahsoka shorts, and this is not an insult. It's just an observation. They are enhancement. They are spice.
Yeah.
And we talked about this.
Yeah.
And it feels. Sorry, Scotty.
I was gonna say beforehand, we talked about Dave kind of has full reign of this character, no matter what people want to consider, and that'll lead us into a much deeper discussion in a moment. But like that, Dave has the run of this character. So like, if this character, for some reason gets a purple lightsaber, we're just gonna have to go, okay, they get a purple. Like you almost can't argue it because this is truly. For Dave Filoni, at least,
the last George
We all
creation.
know that Luke Skywalker has a yellow lightsaber right now in the comics, right?
See, there we go.
He is he's currently wielding a Temple Guard's saber before he builds the green.
Right.
Which is one of my
he technically
favorite
can't build
canon
that till right before Return of the Jedi.
He has to be building it literally on the outskirts of
walking into Jabba's palace.
He has to be. He literally. But I just love. I love the implication of that is that Luke was like procrastinating, like I didn't finish the green one yet. We're gonna break Han out in like 2 days. I'll just wait. I'll finish it before we get there.
Is that your version of my like very loud retelling of Labyrinth of Evil?
Yes.
That I do anytime I get the chance.
That it's just a comedy. Yeah, it's just a fucking fool's
right
comedy.
now.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, no, and I don't know. I love this kind of like cyclical, everything happens for a reason kind of story, And again, like I was saying, it even though it does not add a whole lot, and yes, you can deduce the main function of this story from the trailers and the marketing material, it does not change the fact that like there is a really poignant, almost like M. Night Shyamalan Signs type, like everything happens for a reason kind of energy.
Okay.
Like it's that like just swing that the kid has asthma so he won't get gassed by the alien.
Swing away,
like swing away, like part of Anakin's brain, be it the Force being like, we can't save you from the collision course you're on, so we're gonna make sure she lives. Like there's just, again, it's not my favorite, but it's so beautiful that Anakin does not realize he's saving her from himself.
He's saving her from him, and he's facilitating later interactions of like when his son redeems him, he's gone. Who gives his son guidance? She does.
Exactly.
It's and that's the whole Chosen One conversation. That's a whole other episode, but it's like the Chosen One, like he is literally the Chosen One. He was born of no father. He's born of the midichlorians. Like he is. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean you do everything.
Yeah,
it's a chosen lineage. Like if not for this training session and this training regiment that goes on the whole war, she maybe doesn't make it out of Order 66. Maybe can't face him later. Maybe Ezra dies. Maybe Kanan dies. Maybe that falls apart. Maybe then she can't guide Luke. Then maybe Luke isn't as good a teacher and the school doesn't get finished. Then, Ben Solo and Rey's stories are thrown off. Like it's one thing.
It is.
I've heard that's true. I like that. I think this is a knockoff version.
Listen, there's another show happening in the comments right now. I mean,
always.
Just like I can assure you, I'm not a nerd. Rather, I'm an idiot. It's its own thing.
It is its own thing. And then this will inevitably lead to the episode that I think a lot of people found problematic. And to be honest with you, I never knew that there was any drama behind it because I was actually I was on a boat with the members of Kiss.
Literally,
you were
on
sunning
a-
your ass cheeks with Paul Stanley.
Yeah, I was legitimately.
No, Scotty, I thought you saw on Twitter that was clearly Photoshop.
This man was eating. This man was eating Chinese food with Lita Ford. Just like
I had no idea any of this was going on. It was kind of nice for once. Like usually, I make the discourse more of a satire experience on my end, but this seemed like a pretty big, I guess, controversy because it included people that don't get enough vocalization as is. So I need someone to explain to me because y'all started talking about it. I kind of could put the pieces together, but I really don't know.
Jarod,
like
if you don't
deeply.
mind, as a member of the LGBTQ community, please, would you please expound on it for us?
I'm going to put you large for a little while, Jarod. Just let me know. You're going to be large. Just go on your rant.
Large and in charge.
Now I'm going to pretend this is not flickering like hell. So, long story short, there's a character named Kadeen, however you want to say her name, in the Ahsoka novel written by E.K. Johnston. She is one of, if not the first, canon queer characters we got in the new era. She's also a character of color. She's black. Like they even use her specific skin tone in relation to Mace Windu of like Ahsoka's point of reference from her perspective. The issue at play is with this third chapter. Not only does it speed up the process of the events of the Ahsoka novel, the characters who are with her while she's masquerading as this farmer are clearly not Kadeen. It is clearly two white people. And granted, like you could never, in the limited interaction we get, short of somebody saying it explicitly, glean any type of sexual orientation from any of these characters. But the fact that it is visually not Kadeen is ostensibly confirmation that she is not in this story. And a lot of people have viewed this as a decanonization of yet another segment of E.K. Johnston's novel. Because for as most people would, you treat what happens on screen as more canon than what is in print. Because by virtue of it being on screen, more people are going to see it and experience that story firsthand. That's the basic nuts and bolts of it, is that we have a new version of this story that ostensibly wipes clean, in many people's eyes, from canon, one of, if not the first, queer canon characters of color.
Interesting. Okay, this is all new to me because I didn't read E.K. Johnston's Ahsoka only because I really wasn't that deep into the books at that point in my life.
Well, you don't read, so
yeah, I don't know how to read.
Fine.
You don't know how to
audiobook.
You don't know how to read, which is a different conversation.
I do is watch videos. So that being said, though,
when I met Scotty, he said, "Do you have any games on your phone?"
That's exactly.
Yeah,
he was talking to Lillian, and I said, "Excuse me, let me talk to him first. Any games on your phone?" And he handed me his old iPod Touch, and I'm got on the Wi-Fi.
Angry Bird.
Yeah.
Angry Birds.
Can I give you guys like a really dirty confession of mine?
Oh, here we go.
I've been playing a lot of Angry Birds lately. That's not a.
Is it still an actively
Angry Birds 2?
But wait, is it still like being supported? Like it's still a thing?
Angry Birds 2 is, which is what I've been playing.
Nice. Good for you.
And I've been having so much
Get
fun.
on like
It's
Xbox
a fun
still,
game.
right?
Good for you.
So,
yeah, I
Eli
mean,
from In a Galaxy. I fucking love Angry Birds.
Well, here's okay. All right, I'm gonna. The disparity between the comments is cracking me up. Okay, don't say that.
That's
say
whiplash.
That, Eli. That makes me feel.
This honestly does not.
That makes me feel
me.
ancient. That makes me feel. That makes me
Eli
feel.
would have been like 7 years old, like Angry Birds on his iPad.
Oh God, he knew
y'all were complaining about the Grand Inquisitor and Kenobi. Wait till you see the Grand Inquisitor.
Bonjour.
I think I had him on a thumbnail. Actually, I
You
had
did,
him on a thumbnail
you
one time.
Oh God.
The Frenchman has arrived.
Oh.
Hello, wee wee.
Hell,
Don't call him a wee wee. That's disgusting.
yeah, like so. Just Jarod pretty much covered all of it. Just like some specifics that have come out, little things like people that don't know. So the E.K. Johnson Ahsoka novel, 2016, is based on a series because at the time Clone Wars was canceled, and like he never thought that so notes on what the siege was maybe like were given to publishing and then to EK, and the siege is depicted. Later on, he gets to do that. He also gave notes for what would become this hiding as a farmer, everything plot. We don't know what was in those notes. We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
Ashley Eckstein has since commented, said she loves Kate. She read the audiobook, so she knows who Kadeen is. And she's like, I love Kadeen. I hope we still see Kadeen one day. We did not talk about the novel at all in these recording sessions. The novel didn't come up. It's a case of like, there's the canon conversation, which is less important than the human conversation. And I think that, and again, I'm speaking from a cishet place. So it's like, I'm not speaking for a community, just like as a commentary on how we treat these things. Like canon is written in pencil, not ink. It's something that is flexible and everything. However, when steps forward happen for representation, they need to be in ink within the overall. So it's like, if I have no, and I don't think anyone does, have an issue with doing the 15-minute visual poem version of the book. It's just, hey, maybe a little bit more due diligence of, is there anything in that book that would be important for others?
Yeah.
It just takes that, like, so do I think that any of the four of us or any of our friends or anything are like, F Dave's a homophobe? Absolutely not. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that even the coolest dudes that thinks that you think you're being an ally and you F up and you got to fix it. And that's, it's the learning moment.
Well, I think there's also
still
something
learning
very
every day.
important.
All of us are.
Yeah.
There's something very important to be said about like, there is capital H homophobia and capital R racism and capital B bigotry of any kind, where it is like, I am actively making decisions to attack a marginalized community. And then there is, you're white, you're straight, you're cis, you're whatever privileged class. And because of lived experience, you don't get it. And it is not inherently an evil thing it is not an evil ignorance. It is, you don't know it because you haven't lived it.
You don't know
blind spots.
You don't know to look.
Because
exactly.
Katie and I have gotten that argument before because Katie and my stepdad are very much alike in the sense of they kind of had a rough upbringing. And like, Katie, Coach, his name's Coach Eric, Coach Holden. I just call him Coach, but he's told Katie, he goes, you can't be mad, because of Scott's upbringing. He can't help that thing, but to be better understanding of it is where everyone can unite. And I'm not saying Dave doesn't know what he doesn't know. He might not know. You know what I mean? Like he might have
and that's the thing is that there's so much that because this is the thing, this is what, to Jared's point, it's like there's capital letter, all of this, like the active versions, and then there's your misstep happened because you didn't even realize the misstep was possible, and that's a learning moment. That's when you say, okay, next time let's have someone in the room that can say, hey, I reviewed the material. We got to stick to this. We got to stick to this. We got to stick to this. And the industry is growing. HBO has now intimacy coordinators, like a lot of productions do for sex scenes. Because it's like Game of Thrones, the original show, was kind of going off, and some of those are really intense and were hard to shoot for people. And now, so maybe
you shouldn't need Jason Momoa in the room to go ape shit on some PA.
Exactly
like what happens in the
like to be, so it could have been as simple as Dave was like, oh, you know what? Does anyone have those notes I gave publishing? Yeah, I want to turn those into a short. Somewhere there, he should have said, also, was there anything in the book that was done that we need to stick to? Or someone should have said, yeah, we can get those notes for you. However, you should also be aware X. And one of those two things or both should have happened. One of them didn't happen. and it results in this. And it's like it's a thing to process. I was talking to Chase and their opinion, and Brian and his opinion from Pink Milk, and it's like, not to speak for them, that you'll be able to hear their words on the episodes and on their episodes, but it's this idea of processing it, unpacking it, learning moments, and that people are not a binary. People there, you will, especially people that you look up to creatively, will do things that sometimes you're like, that's a misstep, wouldn't have done that.
Of course.
But then the same people, it's like, yes, like I've always said a positive thing that Dave did was in the and what was at the time canceled Clone Wars stuff, Ahsoka hung out with another white guy. But then when they made it, they split that. He has a name too. You get things in the animatics. They split that character, got rid of him, and made the Martez sisters, which was such a great moment for Latinx Latine representation. So it's like, yes, that's a step forward. We love that. We love the creation of Fennec Shand. We love the creation of, even though I hate the character, Toro Calican is another, you know, he's a
Burn in Hell Toro. No,
actually, I don't want to misspeak. The Cannavales, they
Well,
might
look.
be Italian. No, but still, it's like Pedro Pascal, like Dave helped bring on other Latin leads. Like, so it's
Tamor Morrison with you know
Morrison.
the New Zealand community. Like it's just
like
it's all there.
But you also own your W's as much as you own your L's. You should, and this was an L, and this is a moment of, again, there's nothing wrong with saying I never thought I'd get to do this story. Now I'm going to. It's just, it was from 2016 to this year, people latched on to things that you need to account for. And you know,
well, and I do think it's also worth noting everything you've said. I also think that there's a bit of a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people, for better or worse, that there have also been a non-zero number of missteps that have not necessarily been by the hand of Dave Filoni, but happened on his watch. You know, like the Bad Batch, and like the way that every character of color feels like their skin is like 3 shades lighter than it was the last time we saw them. Like Kanan, like most of the Bad Batch, which, like, and granted, with the Bad Batch, you can get into weird conversations about mutations or whatever.
But it's the show he exec produced.
Exactly.
You know, whether he was sitting there or not. Yeah.
You have a room full of characters going from Caleb Doom all the way up to the Bad Batch, which are based on brown people who are like incredibly white passing. And this is coming off of Clone Wars, where like all of those clones are clearly like based off of a brown man.
They're Maori. They look like Tem. Yeah, like
they look like Tem. And so much of that feeling like it happened on Dave's watch. I mean, it did happen on Dave's watch. So you have those moments of like, you know, in a very the buck stops with the leader kind of way, falling on him.
It's the same thing with George. Like, does anyone honestly in their right mind think that George is anti-Semitic? No one thinks that. He's one of the most progressive guys in the industry and has been for decades. However, if someone says Watto and the Mankey clan are anti-Semitic tropes, they're correct. That doesn't make you the anti-Semite. It means you messed up.
And and that also speaks to all kinds of like really weird ingrained stereotypes that like we're still trying to deprogram our fiction from. But when you factor things like why are all of these Maori based characters slowly getting whiter, and mix that with, and again, this is where it's really easy for the very real life representation conversation and the talking about Space Wizards as though it is a history course starts to slowly cross over, is in the same moment where we get all these characters are slowly getting whiter, and Kanan is like a shade and a half lighter and sounds like a 30-year-old, which is still funny. You also get, oh, by the way, Depa Billaba has a blue lightsaber. It's on this planet. We're like, is it that big of a deal? All of that stuff? No.
It's the same planet. It's just it's in the daylight and it's a little bit snowy, but it's the the Battle of Collar. Could you please act like you care?
Than you have. I beat more people than you
could
have.
You could you please act like you care for once? Can we just also address this?
To pull this up.
Yeah. Please, someone. Scotty, I think you should be the one that reads.
This is a 13-year-old. We're walking upstairs as a society. Sometimes we step down, but one day we'll reach the top. There's a future where this won't happen, and I'm very hopeful for it. It's beautiful. Very well said.
William, my man, you're giving me chills.
Do you get 10 extra pre-points in the classwork category?
And Catholic
Way to
school.
go.
That's Catholic. We're talking about some very serious, like, things you don't talk about at the school that I work at kind of thing right now. Just like things that people don't really care to talk about for the most part. You know,
I mean, William, that is how you stay Bombad, sir. Exactly
that is true.
What you're doing.
That is right.
William.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, so all of those things are like why I think so many people are like really in pitchfork mode with this Ahsoka short, is because we had like this weird convalescence of continuity errors, put it in air quotes or not if you don't want to, I don't care, but like you have a continuity issue mixed with the very, I think, valid whitewashing concern. And those two things are happening at the same time. You look at Clone Wars season 7 and like Ahsoka's confrontation with Maul is now different, which, like, again, I don't think anybody was expecting the book to be directly adapted in terms of their fight. But again, it is the wild, superfluous details that get changed. Like Ahsoka has blue lightsabers now. Like Dave just really likes blue lightsabers these days for some reason. And again, is it inherently indicative of something malicious? No. But when you have a creator who has consistently been making incremental, superfluous changes, when a character like Kadeen is seemingly removed from the narrative, I also think there is on some level a subconscious interpretation of that goes, oh, you think queer representation is as superfluous as a lightsaber blade. And
isn't that funny?
And I don't think that's what's in Dave Filoni's heart at all. But I also do not think it is unreasonable of fans who are still clamoring for on-screen queer representation to experience it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also it comes down a lot to his, and I get why he chooses to be mostly unplugged. The man tweets like annually, if that.
Yeah.
Like he tweeted during the after the murder of George Floyd, he tweeted in support of Black Lives Matter, and he tweets like a holiday drawing. So it's like maybe if he was more like a James Gunn and was like in there, he would be able to say like, oh my, you guys are right. I didn't even whatever the situation is. But yeah, there's a learning moment, and you're right, Jarod. It's the convergence of these different factors that some of them are not important, and a couple of them clearly are, and people start to apply attitudes more than they look at things based on deeds or situations or personal politics or things like that, because it's like there should be the inherent fallibility of myth. Like Jarod and I have been having this argument for months, and we argue it out of love. Like to me, it's the Han and Greedo of it all when it comes to canon. You hate the special edition or you're fine with it? Doesn't matter. Han and Greedo walked into Chalmun's Cantina that day. Shots were fired. Greedo died. Han lived. That's reports vary about the detail. The Battle of Collar happened. There were clones there. Adepa and Caleb Doom were there. That's where the betrayal all went down, et cetera, et cetera. It was at the end of the Clone Wars. Some reports say it was nighttime. Some of them say it was daytime. Some people said it was snowing. Some people said the Bad Batch was there, but we're not actually quite sure. You can have fun with the way myth is. Tolkien literally does that, and he has the most in-depth lore of the time. Tolkien's lore will literally before Tolkien died, he wrote a bunch of notes where he was like, actually, these wizards might have done this, and maybe Sauron was sorry. Anyway, like he literally
Sauron was sorry.
He literally Sauron may or may
the
not
Fellowship
have
is just as bad as Sauron because they're trying to stop Sauron.
That's true. That's true.
Send tweet.
This may be controversial, but
Discuss.
Yeah, no. It's that discuss. It was every hallmark. Yeah, but no, it's the whole idea of
Goose has arrived.
Like that type of idea is fun and interesting, and like they're and I think they have the right to refine over time, or to get flexible. Like these Dooku shorts, it's like they flexibly fit neatly in. Cobb Vanth in Mandalorian, they didn't contradict anything from the novel. It was just
In fact, later they were even like, "This is Freetown now."
Yeah,
like they doubled
they
down.
affirmed it, they streamlined it. You can put things in and around, so a lot of it works. It's just that there has to be that voice in the room, and I know that. In fact, I'm going to look this up right now because it's important for our conversation. Lucasfilm actually did hire somebody for this purpose. Right? I want to get her name right. Lucasfilm leadership. You can pull up the Lucasfilm leadership section. Who under the who we are. You got Kathleen Kennedy. Let's go down here. Well,
I heard she's on the way out.
You can share your screen if you want. I can pull it up.
I heard she's. I don't want you to see my other tabs.
I heard Brie Larson fired her.
Is that double-sided lightsaber going crazy?
Yeah, no, that's 100% what that is. Where is
Alden doesn't want you to see that he's logged into anti-Scotty Jarod Association.
That's exactly.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I don't. Maybe I lost her page. Or
I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
But yeah, somebody got hired to be, here she is. Her name is Queen DeTruquo, and she's the director of diversity and inclusion.
There you go.
And that's a new position that they have there. And it's like, as that, give her the resources to integrate into the different departments, to be the one that's like, canon as the myth is fallible. However, let's establish a list of fixed points. Let's establish a list of, we took these steps for a reason. Like, it's a small little thing and it should have been more. And I'm not saying it was some great step, but like Larma Daisy in The Rise of Skywalker is in a lesbian marriage. Like her and her wife, who was one of the other pilots, like in a post-Rise story, that needs to be a fixed point. Larma Daisy is married to this one. Boom. This idea of fixed points could be a way to get past this and learn. Again, I'm cishet. I'm not saying I have the answers. Just thinking out loud. But I understand the hurt. I understand everything. I think as a short, it's directed well. It's fine. Again,
it's not the best short though.
It's not. Like
it's just not.
This is where, and we talked about this earlier, where like upon rewatching, upon talking about this more and really stewing on it, I have gone from largely indifferent on this to actively disliking it. Because like you said, it's directed well, it's acted well, it looks great. Like it passes that bar of justifying its existence by being competently made. However, there is so little meat on the bone here that ends up in this situation where Dave Filoni and company just don't even step on a rake. They jump on the rake for it to fly up and break their nose. All over, hey, did you know Ahsoka was at Padme's funeral? Like, that's what that is the only major moment we glean. Other than that,
to counter that though, a lot of this is centered around that novel. What if you haven't read that novel? What if you don't know the events? For those people, it's like me. Wow, it's that Bale interacted with her. Whoa, there was this, there was that, and
absolutely.
Like so it's almost like a who's watching then conversation.
You're right, but going back to, you get the gist of all of these Ahsoka shorts from the trailers. Whereas with Count Dooku, you have no idea how wild
No, but I like that there was. I like the way the Inquisitor duel was handled. They didn't do the white crystals thing, and
it's cool. But like, if I feel like this short had an opportunity, and again, I don't like to be the lightsaber go burr kind of guy. I detest that like Star Wars is without meaning unless bzz, 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 bzz. And it's not the place I'm going to go to, but like this felt like a cool lore nugget that kind of vaguely, like that guy, that like, that's like its validating moment. And then as it's the trailers hype it up for like this fight with this Inquisitor, Ahsoka hits him with the 3-piece and it's over. And what did we glean from this? in the grand scheme of things, other than Ahsoka was at Padme's funeral, and then a whole nother litany of continuity errors and the controversial one that actually
but
does
here's the thing,
matter.
though, is that
Like,
I don't think that it's not that you're wrong about what you're saying that's new. It's just that Ahsoka's
fight night.
Ahsoka's being at Padme's funeral, to me, like, that's not just like and she was there. Like, it's the moment of she was my friend. It was affirming that solo relationship. It was
absolutely.
It was the fact that like Padme's spirit lingers over the episode, and that it's mutual grief over this woman who was an essential part of the Skywalker lineage and story, that is the most underrated and underappreciated member of that lineage, that grieving over her and being there in her literal wake is what forges, I think, this Ahsoka and Bail connection, I think, is really poignant. I love that Rex was by the Y-wing that they got from Siege of Mandalore, because it adds emotional weight, I think, of this is a time of just the funerals, the burn village, this
shit.
Contextually, it's Ahsoka, like, she's laid to rest all these tropes.
Everyone's in ruins. Everyone's licking their wounds.
I think it's interesting because Ahsoka, the second one, if you watch right before that Siege episode, SLAPS, and then if you watch this one right after, I think they play as inserts for that in a really interesting way. Which, again, I know what you're saying. Yeah. How much of it is new? How much of it is superfluous? These characters that are not kidding, like, none of these people are even named. They're just functional, random NPC farmers. Like, so it's like it really is just for her to have this moment of defiance and of defense and not striking. Like, she blocks and just defeats this guy clean. It's very Twin Sons in that way. So, like, I like it. I just think that it's sort of like, again, it'll never be without the controversy, nor should it. Like, that's a moment. This is a learning moment. Yeah. But this is, for me, probably my least favorite of the 6, just because I had read the book, and it's like I've synthesized it all in my mind already as to how she got back in the game. So
and I will say, if I may, not in like the very like masturbatory, like, oh, I could write a better story, but just as a thought experiment, I was thinking about this. And I listened to a good bit of the Ahsoka novel going into this conversation because I wanted to have a lot of it fresh.
Sure, of course.
I think you get a better story by ending it with the beginning of the book. I think you get a better story by beginning by this chapter being Ahsoka escaping the first planet she starts on, because it is happening in the middle of the first Empire Day and the first Imperial like military parade coming through this town, and like the heat being too hot and her realizing I've overstayed my welcome. I gotta go.
15 minutes short, and then she goes up to this,
and it is
this woman, and says, "My name's Ashla."
Yeah,
like,
and what you get to see, and I think it would very much pull all the shorts together in a better way, because you get to have like the fun adventure of Ahsoka being very like Aladdin, one jump ahead, like Assassin's Creed, traversing the rooftops, escaping like all these Imperial patrols, but you also get to like bring it all together. Ahsoka, is this child who is destined to become a great Jedi, and Dooku is a great Jedi who becomes disillusioned by the Republic, and his disillusionment, pardon my hiccups, leads to his fall to the dark side, and his radicalization helps bring about this empire that brings Ahsoka's family to death. And now here she is looking at being reminded of her lost family. That is the ultimate machination of what happens after Dooku falls. And it's her running for her life while the Empire is literally just, aren't we the best? Look at us. Like, they're doing their big military parade. I think that may have been more poignant.
I almost wonder like if there's
And
something
and
to be
also has
said,
less-
like it's like Dave, who again, nobody here is questioning the man's character. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's about issues. It's about specific mistakes. I think creatively he inherited all of George's strengths, all of George's not weaknesses, but stubbornness.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been saying that for years.
He inherited because you think about it, like for Dave to be like, oh, I got this money to do these shorts. And for him to be like, where are those notes that I gave to publishing? It's time to do them. That's a very George thing to do.
Yeah.
Because that's George being like, it's now the 90s. I'm still pissed that Jabba scene didn't get in. Like, let's
just go ahead and do it.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's that Dave has that, like, yeah, like I relate to that on a certain level where it's like, I think that, like, if I feel that I made an episode of something or wrote something and I left something on the table, or like if somebody like asked me to edit down an article or edit a segment out or cut something or whatever, like I get very like, no, like, so I understand the impulse years later, but again, it's just about listening and getting to that point. And it's like acknowledging, like, do I buy into the conspiracy and the Twitter bullshit of like Dave versus other creators? No, he's an executive creative director at the company. He's there. Literally, Kathy has said the words. There's nothing that gets done that doesn't go through him in some way.
Yeah.
He helped. He shot second unit. He learned under John. He learned under Ryan. He helped Deb with Kenobi. He has a special thanks. Like, there's no fucking he's trying to trump anybody. But there is the, hey, EK, like, is there anything that I should know about that you did with my notes that could have saved so much grief and so much trouble and this misstep? Because if you're hurt by this, that's valid, and I think I speak for all four of us when I say we support you, and we back you, and you should be hurt by it. And us saying there were cool things in it is not at all discounting the real issue of it.
But I will say the most unfortunate thing about it, on a grander scale, is that, you know, the people that consume the novels are, you know, the kind of hyper big fans. And so the biggest missed opportunity in terms of, you know, lacking any sort of representation is that, you know, people are going to watch this and not even know it exists in a book. That's where it's almost kind of a disservice.
Know. Like, that's the other thing, is that it's easy to get into a fan bubble, and your optimism can become naivety.
Yes.
Where there are people that will tweet things that come from the best places in their hearts and souls, and they'll say, how are they not listening? They should know. They should. And it's like, you got to keep in mind that your X number of followers is X percentage of the Star Wars Twitter sphere, which is only X percentage of this, X percentage of that. Like, it is not at all, like, I'm sorry, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Paramount, MGM, they don't read your tweets. They search a hashtag, they get positive ones, and they post them sometimes. The conversation's not coming from the down up. It needs to happen across the halls.
I agree.
And so it's just, and I would love a world where you could say, hey, this hurt me, or hey, this hurt my friends, and that would reach them. But that's just not, it's just not feasible. You can't even get, we all know you can't get some of these people to respond to emails. So it's like, it's a different world. It's a different industry. It's about marrying two industries, which they're getting better at. I think, you know, this is a misstep, but I'm optimistic. Acolyte being run by a queer person, starring a non-binary person, people of color, populating the whole cast. High Republic now moving into animation. So I think it's getting better.
It's gonna get better. It always.
This is
better.
just one of those moments where it's like, just don't do that again. And also, can I just say, I'm not the producer of Bombadcast, so I'm not gonna say like what you should link or what you should anything. But like, Chase's video, their video on the That Gay Jedi channel.
It's amazing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like 8 minutes on what we've been saying, and it's the perfect 8 minutes.
It's a great. I'll pull it up in the chat right now. Hold on. I watched it the other day. Yeah. It's amazing. Hold on.
But I do want to say in like a weirdly like Pollyanna optimistic way, because we have come so far culturally, societally, whatever, moments like this where rakes are stepped upon feel more jarring now.
Oh yes.
Because we've come so far, moments like this give you more whiplash than like
the standard is higher.
Yeah.
The expectation is higher, which is great, but it's also like, you know, it's like, and also when you a great video. When you step up to the plate and make positive choices, you then create a standard for yourself that you have to maintain. You know, it's consistency. It's not you do one good thing and then you never have to do a good thing again. It's like, we're grateful. Rey gets credit for this. It was not Rey. It was Ahsoka. First, you know, female Jedi lead character in Star Wars. I understand Rey has live action. I get that. Nobody jump at me. But he gave us that. He gave us some great Latin characters, some great Maori characters. He expanded things out. Kanan as a Latin person, Sabine as, you know, a Southeast Asian. Sabine's ethnicity is actually kind of vague. I don't want to speak on it, but it's just like, thank you for all of that. But because you did all of that, keep that up.
Yeah.
You know? Like, keep that up. Don't rest on your laurels.
Expect a certain standard.
Don't rest on your laurels. Don't slip up or anything like that. In good faith. And obviously it's easy to say like Filoni or John or JJ or Ryan or whatever, because they are big, but it's also the whole team. Like, there were other writers and directors on this too.
Oh yeah.
There's more talking to be had, more producing opportunities down the road. But yeah, I mean, look at that. We're like an hour 40 into this. We haven't even started talking about Dooku, but this was important. This was important to talk about.
We need to earn the dessert that is the Dooku talk.
Yeah. The Dooku is.
This is we are having the responsible, like,
but really, like,
this is our broccoli right now.
I do want to say though, like,
create a responsible conversation,
Jarod,
and then we get to have Dooku cake.
I do want to say though, Jarod, like, you are one of our, you know, our queer, just like, icons in this community. I'm not naming names, but I don't think, this is my opinion, it's not the opinion of Jarod or Nerd Academy, that you've gotten your due or your highlight as somebody in the community that 100%. is out and proud as a bisexual man. And so, last word on the topic should go to you. If there's anything that you think we haven't touched on. And again, and by the way, I also want to point out, as me, the straight guy, I don't get to say who are the underrated ones, but I am saying that if you're putting together a list, I want to see my boy on it.
That's right.
Next Star Wars Pride, I want to see some TNAP love.
Well, I first want to say, fuck you for making me cry on Bombadcast. I'm a little verklempt. That was very sweet of you. Thank you.
You haven't cried since you lost. I had to remember it.
I went from so full of pride to
just love,
unquantifiable rage.
What about now? What about this?
Have sex, excel, put my hands against, put my best, put my 10, put my spend, have sex, excel.
What was that? How was that for you? What did that send you back? Because you just had like
it leveled me out. It leveled me out. I went. My friends love me so much. I'm gonna kill all of you today, guys.
Have sex.
I'm not afraid to say that the Have Sex is a great song.
No, I will say I've said most of what I have to say on the matter. As a whole, I think that these are moments where. These are the moments where saying do better matters.
Yeah.
And moving forward, like, again, we can compare this and contrast it to what we have now, what we have later. And And I don't know. It's very complicated, and I don't think there's a good way to have a last word. But yeah, no, I think we covered this very well.
That was very well done, gentlemen, because him and I, me and my boy over here, we would have covered it, and I think we would have done a decent job of it. But it came from the lips of people that are, and this is a terrible phrase, but are, I guess, in terms of minority in the sense of being represented in Star Wars. So be it if you're part of the gay LGBTQ plus community, or if you're part of the Latina community, like it's like that's like those are things that we aren't really seeing as much. So the conversation should have went to y'all, because Jerry and
I wish that I wish there was somebody else here that could speak to it that's not me, who's straight. But yeah, again, like, is there a good last word? Perhaps not, but it's one thing that Chase said to me, and again, watch their video, is we have to normalize.
Go subscribe.
And subscribe to That Gay Jedi. We have to normalize in this world saying one of two phrases. I'm not sure about that quite yet, and I'm still processing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Those should be okay.
Thing. I lost a friendship over I'm processing, so I get that. Like, I genuinely do. Like, seriously, because it's sometimes you hear things and it's a shock, or you see things in terms of art or anything, and you have to process it. But I guess this will transition well. We didn't have to process this next damn bit of this Tales of the Jedi.
Can I take a potty break before we jump into?
Go for it, because I have one thing that I still have not yet processed. Did that dude's head disappear when she cut his head off?
I literally
deflated.
So we're in a Discord server.
Listen, all this is well and good. Representation. That's great. That's
y'all
great.
have fun with this.
Did that mother effer's head disappear?
There are three.
We got listen. Okay. All right. Whoa, we're gonna tip over.
That's just us. That's just us. Let me my weight over the side.
Hold on. Let me. Let's.
There you go. So there are three levels to this, I think. Hey, buddy. I had the same thought where I was like, what the hell? So I talked to my friend and yours, Nikki Kumar. And three things came up. One, just visually and poetry and for themes, very Witch King. He loves his Lord of the Rings. That helmet sort of shrivels and everything. I think it's just like, that's but literally what's happening. It's either A, what Nikki suggested, which is that this is just a new species under there that we don't know, that maybe like they're more either plasma-y, or they disintegrate, or they degenerate, or it could be something biological that we've just never seen before in Star Wars and we don't know. But what I think happened is, because it's decapitation and then we cut to the thing hitting the ground and it kind of sinks. I think it's similar to Mace decapitating Jango, where the head.
See, I was about to go. This is the new. The head bounced out.
I think she chops him. The head flies out. The helmet hits, and that's just the helmet being. There's no head in there anymore.
Okay.
So
because again,
it's a mask. It's a mask on a hood, not a helmet.
Right.
Yeah.
My only thing is, I watched just now, and it feels like a head hits, and then, but
there's like some thump. But I also think that there's.
I'm not upset about it. I'm just
I also
just trying to add a little levity.
It's one of those things where it's like where did Jango's head go? And like people are like, you can see the shadow of the head. When you do this.
Well, that's what I was gonna joke and say. You could actually, if you pause, you can see the head bouncing out of the hood.
Yeah,
thing.
So it's an interesting situation for sure. But I think it was a situation. Jarod, do you agree?
Did the head bounce out?
I think she slices it and the head flies out of this mask hood combo, and there's no head in there to support the. Because like it's
Scotty,
it's like Jango.
Did the head bounce out?
Mace slices Jango's head. Jango's head flies out.
I like it being a gaseous creature only because it's just wicked, and like the voice was.
That's what I am as a gaseous creature.
Scotty, I know that there's always the chance a student shows up. Am I able to consume an adult beverage?
Yeah, God, of course.
I've been drinking a gin and tonic the size of my head this whole time.
I'm gonna get a glass of red wine now.
I am very clearly opening.
But you know
Listen,
what? The
listen.
idea of a gaseous
Bombad and liquor go
creature-
together. Okay.
the
Sorry,
idea-
Alden.
No, it's okay. But you just made me think. While Scotty's
Cheers.
gone, in the High Republic, there is that species.
Yeah.
That Orbalin is.
That's what I thought of, and I was
That's
like,
from
wouldn't it be
Solo
funny if it's an
originally.
Orbalin?
It's
He's
a
an
background character in
Ugor.
Solo.
He's an Ugor, yeah, and then that one is also gaseous, so it could be gaseous or some sort of
William does not approve.
You know, so William
Hardy.
No, not
Prohibition.
alcohol.
Don't look at the screen. Don't
William,
look at the
avert your
screen.
eyes.
Don't
The
worry,
adults
William.
are
It's
drinking
grape
adult
juice.
beverages. Don't worry. Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll give you. You can have your grape juice, kid. We'll give you some sweet tea. You know, it's.
I
fine.
will say, anyone who's familiar with my drinking habits, red, white, and berry is my favorite piece of alcohol on the planet.
Okay, hold up. Hold that up again. Hold on. There. Let me see that label again. Red, white, and berry.
Oh,
Red, white, and
Smirnoff.
berry is is like
Gris.
the Smirnoff one that comes out at 4th of July. They have a Christmas one now called Red, White, and Merry.
Shut up. Is it good?
It's like a holiday punch.
Came up with that.
Bro, I hope they do a vodka of this like they do with Red, White, and Berry. As well.
Ooh. I support prohibition.
Listen,
Whoever
ran to the grocery store.
Whoever in the room was like, guys, what if we did a holiday one and we called it red, white, and berry? I hope that person gets their you know what 8. All right. I hope like that they deserve
They're
a
fruity.
raise. It's just like
I have
yes.
no idea what you're referring to, Alden, so you can just text me what the hell you're referencing because I have no idea what you're saying.
Oh, come on. That's easy.
Because, Jarod,
You're part of the LGBTQ plus community.
You know.
Joe Organa, I talk about this all the time.
Shaped like this.
Jarod, you're gonna
Well,
Got
you
little chunks stuck in it usually.
Yeah, literally, Joe, I literally talked on public
Okay.
Twitter to Joe about this. Like,
I am sincerely lost right now. But anyway, it's like a holiday cherry punch. It's really good.
well, I guess is nothing better to lead us into our next our dessert, like Jared described earlier, which truly was at least for because I like Dooku. I haven't read Jedi Lost yet.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Alden! When you said 8,
God.
I thought you meant the number 8.
you're so stupid.
We get a lot of
I thought you
everyone's
meant-
making
you
the
said they're
gaseous.
blank 8. I'm like
No,
homophones, everybody, homophones.
Homophones, not homophobes. That's
right.
That's the theme here. So
but
Hell
this,
yeah, that's a T-shirt right there. Homophones.
let's talk about the Dukes, man.
Oh, let's
Talk
talk
about
about
Dukes
it.
Mc-
Yeah.
Dukes
Dooku with Salvo
Whoa!
Cheese,
Oh,
Esquire.
wait, is
Let's talk about
Stavo?
the
Yeah,
Let's do a
Stavo,
clip to
gonna give
transition
us
to the Dukes.
the good word.
I gotta transition to do the Dukes because you know what we're feeling right now? We're feeling like this.
Living in America. There's nothing wrong. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm out on love. Out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Concerned about that?
No, Dageshan. I'm concerned because there's nothing wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some?
I'm gonna say I feel good. Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
What you're going to be
Hello,
doing
Dad.
on this tour?
Jam.
Source, there you are.
And we'll be doing a lot of good things, and hopefully we'll get Brother Ted Turner on the cover. Ted, where you at? Hasta luego.
You know, it's nice
Globalist
to see,
icon
though,
Ted Turner,
I'm dying.
the man
It's
who
nice to
commissioned
see
the
that-
Georgia Guidestones. Ted Turner.
You know, Dooku did, however, he managed to keep the 70s hairstyles throughout his entire run. which I appreciate. Like, he's got
Honestly,
nice sideburns.
I think that there needs to be money dedicated to a special edition of all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars
Oh my
that
god.
give Dooku a regular ass shape head. Because it was so refreshing to see him with the regular.
It was see that's the thing. Like it was
Christopher
completely
Lee looked
different,
like
wasn't it?
Squidward's fucking house.
the train.
No, listen, it's like it's no, it's like, you know, if I shave this beard, you know, like my head looks less like, like one of the Easter Island heads. It's a
what a choice. Like, imagine exploiting someone's nose that hard.
And
You're
it's
like,
both versions of animated Dooku.
Yeah,
his head is the same exact shape in Tartakovsky.
Yeah, and I love the way he looks clean shaven. I love the way he looks with a beard, and I love the young Qui-Gon model. I think it's so. It looks like young Liam. It crushes. His son did a great job. This first short had an interesting challenge. A lot of stuff nowadays gets criticized. Black Panther is a great example of like you gave the villain a leftist point of view or a progressive point of view, and then you Falcon the Winter Soldier is the biggest one recently. Like Carly's unequivocally right, and then you need her to do something terrible.
And then
that
she
way
carpet
the story
bombs a hospital.
Yeah, that way the story can root against her. This could have been that.
Yeah.
And the way that they avoided it was so brilliant. Is that when they save this senator's kid from the kidnappers, the senator's kid's like, no, they're right. It's the fact that the senator's kid sees the truth. He's the hero here. And Qui-Gon and Dooku are reacting to these events. The son learned. By the time the Jedi get to him, Dooku and Qui-Gon find him. He's like, yeah, they kidnapped me and that's not cool. But also I've now seen the suffering and they're right to be mad at me and my family. This is retaliation. It wasn't unprompted. And Dooku, seeing the way that
with the Transformer, like, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Look at that face. Look at that youngin.
God, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
just
just like
how much of a slut he is too. Like he's not even wearing an undertone.
he doesn't have the undershirt. I also just like look. Could you imagine saying like we were gonna get
me in college?
Young Qui-Gon.
What are we doing?
Are you just are you just about to
Scotty, don't.
I don't think you're allowed to do this.
Play the audio.
No, don't play the visual. It'll still get nuked.
I'm just gonna pause it. I'm gonna pause it. I'm just gonna show you one.
Okay.
Like the vibe of him being, because he's inherently Qui-Gon, like truly.
Yeah.
Like there's
he's already
one
got
line that actually gave me chills when I first heard it. Because I'm just gonna close it out because I don't want to get attacked, like you said. There was the line that he says that was so damn good. Qui-Gon said he was thinking in the moment,
Yep.
whenever and then at the literally feel, don't think, use your instincts. I'm like, that is,
and that's also like keep your anxieties in the here and now, Obi-Wan, or your thoughts here and now, Obi-Wan. I forget what the line is. But right at the beginning of the negotiation, like, and then the you are wise, which gets passed down to apprentice to apprentice and that whole thing. And it's the fact that I love that how this first short and the second short connect, and all three of them. Here, Dooku has the chance Dooku has the chance to.
Is he live streaming?
He has the chance to get me.
Sorry.
I'm still a mod on Bombad from Podathon. I could jump in and just start crewing crazy shit at any moment. So so like here he almost acts on his worst instinct, and it's someone that he loves, basically his son, that is the one that stops him. It's Qui-Gon.
Yes.
The second, don't focus on your anxieties. Keep your thoughts here and now where they belong. Thank you, Goose. You're so smart. Then the second short, it's him and Windu, who have so many similarities, and Windu and him clash over that crossing, and maybe Dooku doesn't cross. Like here, he would have crossed into murder. It was going to be force choke, lightsaber strike, murder. Qui-Gon stops him. He comes back. The second one is not that, but it's my choice to defer to the council and your choice to be the investigator here in your own hands is where we differ. And we are, I'm not Qui-Gon. I can't reach you in that same way. And then the last one, it's the push-pull devil angel between Yaddle and Palpatine. So it's how Dooku gets to the point that's just so, it's so natural. Like you understand it. And the fact there's kidnappers in the first one, the fact that there's these killers that kill the Jedi in the second one. And then in the third one, it's once it's Qui-Gon that dies, you could see he steps up to Sidious. He's like, Qui-Gon, that was off the table, dude. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And Sheev can be like, I don't know, so I lost one too. Who cares? Like, but it shows. It goes.
It was very Thanos in Infinity War,
Totally.
You hear him,
Totally.
his day exacts a heavy toll.
It exacts a heavy toll, and it's like it gets easier every time. This was something I talked about a lot circa Multiverse of Madness with like the Wanda controversy. It's like it wasn't 0 to 100. It was the culmination of Westview and the Darkhold and the choices and this. It's easy for Dooku to say, well, it's just, helping him a little bit. It's just deleting a file. Oh, it's just getting Sifo shot down. Well, Sifo was already going through stuff. It gets until it's out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why Star Wars doesn't have gray Jedi or gray things. It plays in gray, but it always comes down on a side. And if you think you can stay gray, you're wrong. And that's what Dooku thought he could do.
And that's because
Dooku believes what he's saying in Attack of the Clones.
When he's talking, he genuinely believes.
Now he
believes
and
that.
It's so crazy.
And he reveals the whole.
That the other day.
He tells the whole plot.
He
tells the whole plot. The Senate is under the control of a Sith Lord. Obi-Wan joined me.
George's notes to Obi-Wan.
Literally. Qui-Gon's like, he literally is like, Qui-Gon would do it. Like, he's telling the truth because he thinks he could stay gray. I now read Clones Dooku as I'm still not over the fact that I let it get out of control. Qui-Gon should still be around. I'm too in deep though. And, and then he ultimately, again, it's about everyone has a choice. Yeah, like Yaddle says, like, of course, if he makes the right choice, you still got to answer for some murder and some subterfuge and like, but something. And I fucking love. Not only do I love her performance because Bryce Dallas Howard is a younger woman, like so it's like she sounded very convincing.
Yeah,
same kind of like Lupita Nyong'o as Maz. Like they sound like older women in their voice performances. I love Yaddle's voice, but it's the fact that Yaddle says, "Hey, I quit today. I not quit.
Yes,
I stepped down.
That was
so good,
so huge.
I agree with you.
Please
come back. I agree. Let's you and me like." Jarod still hasn't answered my versus question about whether or not they could have taken Sheev. But
I wonder.
Yeah, if he had joined Yaddle in that moment, off guard.
Yaddle didn't put up much of a fight, but Yaddle was playing the defense the whole time.
She was
Yaddle wasn't dueling to kill. Yeah,
on her side.
I on that, just to versus it up for a second, we're gonna talk mad props to Yaddle real quick. She put goddamn Dooku on his back foot.
That's true.
And made him resort to dirty tricks to beat her. Like, even though she was not fighting to kill, she turned the pressure up on him in a similar way that you only really see Dooku do with Obi-Wan. You only really see him go, oh shit, pick him up, throw him. It's Dooku only does that when it's like red alert going off.
So I have to bring this up too. And I don't know if you wanted to add any more to that, Jarod. I'm sorry, but I got excited when I thought about it. Plagueis would be dead at this point. So like,
okay. Yes.
I was gonna say, this is pretty cool because now you see what Palpatine was doing leading up to the funeral. Like we had never seen that. You know what I mean?
So
if that holds. If that holds in canon, which we don't know.
I think it's going to. I think they've danced around it so damn much that like
because when
they're not going to recanonize the book.
Plagueis dies before he gets
elected.
He gets Valorum's job. Yeah.
So
he dies somewhere.
It's the night he gets it, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the night a vote of no confidence happens.
Yeah, they celebrate and
they celebrate it.
And Ego de Mass gets so smashed that he passes out, and then she was like, "All right."
Yeah, so it's like if that holds in canon, let's say it does for the sake of the fun of the conversation, that means that it is like how there's that movie that's like such and such is no good, very bad day. This is like Palpatine's fuck yeah, very awesome week. Like this has been like the
the Palpatine on a skateboard.
like literally Plagueis dead. Maul, I lost one, but I already replaced him. Then one Jedi down.
I got to watch a council master die.
I met who I I've always been curious. Do you think Palpatine feels the vergence when he meets Anakin and says the "Watch your career" with great interest?
He does. He does in Plagueis. That's
So
evident.
that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Like so, first of all, one of the reasons why the Sith Lord is my favorite one is because it feels so much like the Plagueis novel.
Exactly why I love it.
And again, like one of the best parts of the Plagueis novel.
Yeah, Jarod and I love this shit.
Is when you realize that, like, the moment everybody arrives on Coruscant and like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are talking to Valorum and little Anakin's right here is just off camera. Higo Damask is having a panic attack because 9 years ago he and Palpatine were playing God, and then they both felt the Force go.
Both jerked off in a cup, and
like they felt the Force go. We're gonna remember that. Buddy.
The Force said, "Don't write checks with your mouth that your ass can't catch."
Like, they literally, like Plagueis, because Palpatine's like, "What's wrong?" And Plagueis is like, "The Force is gonna strike back. We made a big mistake."
Yep.
And then 9 years pass, and they're like, "I think we're all right."
There he
Which
is.
is also something
what
that
the
I
hell
love.
is that kid? Whoa!
And that just happened. And Palpatine is to sit with that thought too.
And I love the idea. That's so much better. I've always loved that about that novel because it's so much better than the Plagueis and or Palpatine made him intentionally.
Yeah.
No, it's because the Force, the living Force is the living Force. It's binds us, penetrates us. The cosmic Force is like the good version of the One Ring in Tolkien.
Exactly.
The One Ring in Tolkien wants to get to the Master of Evil. It wants to be found. The cosmic Force in Star Wars wants to be in balance. Yep. That's why all of a sudden, like Snoke says as much. Even Snoke has figured this out to some degree. I told you, as you rose in the darkness, so would your equal in the light. Like whatever that exact quote is. Like I'm sure Eli will tell me what the exact quote is in like 2 seconds. He's like furiously going through the document right now. But like, it's like that idea of like this 9-year-old, like that. I don't like that timing. And then, so that's, man.
That's immediately after he goes to Naboo and he has to deal with it. That is such a cool analysis.
They literally need to just take that book, change a couple of names, throw in a couple of references, and just re-release it. Just call it like the Plagueis Special Edition, and it's canon.
Like, here's my thing though. Like, even take the whole idea that like the Plagueis novel is still happening out of the equation. Like, I don't even care if the Plagueis novel is canon at this point. I don't, because honestly, there's a version of this now. There's a version of the events of the Phantom Menace that have become even more convoluted off screen in the best way possible.
Yep.
And this is what I've been excited for. This is what I was saying. I was like Pepe Sylvia-ing to Taylor. So we know at the end of Dooku Jedi Lost, the circumstances of which he leaves the Order. Because in Legends, for anybody who's not aware and he's reminded, Dooku is still a Jedi when Qui-Gon Jinn is killed.
Yeah, that's the final straw.
He leaves the Order because Qui-Gon is murdered.
In Legends, again, remember, in Legends.
In Legends, he leaves because of Qui-Gon's death during the Naboo crisis, and basically goes before the Jedi Council and goes, F y'all got my son killed, I'm done.
Yeah.
And he walks and then immediately gets into bed with the Sith and goes, hey, you are directly responsible for the death of my surrogate son. I'm on your team now. I always hated that. I always thought it was asinine and overly complicated. No good reason for it.
Yeah. The canon one of Dooku having already been gone for a decade, ideologically, is so much better.
Yeah. So him no longer being in the Order, but like having that AJAB, all Jedi are bastards, or it's like, the organization is bastardized.
Yeah.
But there's wonderful individual Jedi.
Yeah. And that's why Dooku returns. Like Dooku.
Yeah. He has
Dooku
so much love for his brothers and sisters.
He's a visiting professor. Dooku is like I said it the other night, talking with Pink Milk, like Dooku at this point is like, he used to work here and he still hangs out. Like, he comes in, hey, can I use the libraries? Yoda told him keep the saber. So if you want to know more, like look up Kevin Scott's thing, but it's so much better. And what's great for Palpatine, not to cut you off, but what's great for Palpatine now canon, again, assuming the Plagueis stuff is that Palpatine in 1 week has orchestrated, like, so political evil Palpatine is orchestrating, obviously pulling the strings of the Trade Federation and trying to handle the Naboo situation, assassinate the Queen, all that. But Darth Sidious at this point is spinning the plate of the master he's about to off, the apprentice Maul, who he at this point I'm sure he's thinking will be successful, and the Jedi master that I could potentially have to replace this one just in case, and he's giving equal attention to all of them. Nobody is better at just yes-anding his own ass than Sheev Palpatine. This man is, I don't know why I got the single, but this man legend.
Sheev Palpatine, like whenever like an employer asks you in your interview like what your 5-year plan is, like Sheev Palpatine always has an answer.
Always.
And everything. Which is why I don't answer that question, because I'm not evil.
Well,
I'm not evil.
I wanted to bring this up because this leads into the choices episode, right?
Wait, can I just?
Oh
real
yeah,
quick?
yeah. Go on, Jarod.
So like, again, I am going to operate under the assumption the Plagueis novel is not canon. Plagueis is already dead. Like, Palpatine is not balancing this plate, or even just ignore it because I just want to focus on Dooku. At some point between now and the Phantom Menace, Dooku has been approached by the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious. If there's 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. He is approached. He has begun a long game of subterfuge where he is acting in accordance with the Sith, but he himself is not a Sith Lord. Like, in this time, Dooku needs to work with the Sith, turn to the dark side, and become a Sith, and then establish the Confederacy of Independent Systems. All 4 of those things are 4 very different watershed moments for Dooku as a character.
That's true.
That we now know all were going on by the time Phantom Menace happens. Like, obviously, like, he gives over, like, he gives into the dark side philosophically and morally when he kills Yaddle. But like, is he himself a dark sider? Like,
that's my question.
Like, is this Count Dooku the Dark Jedi?
Yes.
Or is this like Count Dooku, like the unaligned?
Yeah,
Force
like
user
you almost wonder, like,
the dive.
Like what happens? So he kills her, and then the episode cuts to Sheev and it fades to black. Right, it's over.
Yeah,
like
it's
if
with his eyes.
You could feasibly say, like, because Maul's dead, so you could feasibly say Palpatine's like, all right, I'm gonna jump on this. Either he goes pieces out to the funeral and comes back, but some point that day, and that I could see him being like, now bleed that crystal. Like, put the rage of Qui-Gon's death in there. Put the guilt of what you just did to Sifo, what you just did to Yaddle. Makes it red, and he says, "And rise, Darth Tyrannus." I think it happens there. But up until that point, I don't think that he's Sith, because rule of 2 is just that Palpatine is both the greatest Sith of all time and the most disrespectful to the Sith of all time.
Yes.
Palpatine has no regard for the rule of 2 whatsoever. Bane and Palpatine would war with each other. That whole idea of Asajj can't be Sith Dooku because you and me are also applies back then, decade prior. So he can't be Darth Tyrannus until this day.
Exactly. But like, for Dooku, where is he at too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is such a wild place to go to. Like, and especially, oh man, it's so fucking cool.
I think it is Dark Jedi at this point.
Qui-Gon. Like, the conversation is with Qui-Gon, the way he's like, "Hey man, you got to be careful out there." Like, Dooku
I still worry
knows.
for you. And he's like, I still worry for you. And Qui-Gon's like, oh, don't worry, Master. Like, Obi-Wan fills that role now, and he's like, I can't wait to meet him one day. I believe all that. I think that Dooku had shit gone a little bit differently, like, because again, he firmly believes, Palpatine obviously knows, Dooku firmly believes that commandeering Sifo Dyaz's clone order is good.
Yes.
And that Sifo, if you in Jedi Lost, Sifo's always been plagued by visions. So at this point, Sifo's like going kind of insane and stuff. So it's like you could make the argument that maybe from Dooku's point of view, he's like, I'm putting Sifo out of his misery. Like he's probably done things that he can justify to himself to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And then Qui-Gon dying and the murder of Yaddle are what he can't. But yeah, so I think it is like to answer your question, Jared, like, is it Dooku the Dark Jedi or Dooku the Sith Lord? It starts with one and ends on the other in like 15 minutes.
My favorite bit of the whole thing was him deleting Camino and then going up to Jocasta Nu after and saying, you know, did he really run into a Sith Lord? And she's like, nah, you know, he imagines things, or he had a big imagination. I think what's the exact line Jocasta Nu says?
I forget what the exact quote is, but it is like,
and he
had
replies,
such a
oh, go ahead.
It's so, because it shows how
has a big imagination,
how dogmatic and naive she is,
right? And Dooku says like imagination is missing from these halls now.
He's like, something that is missing from
God, it's brutal.
Like, he's mourning
because like Dooku back then was all like, as you learn in Jedi Lost, like there was a master, I forget her name, she was a great character, Eli, look it up. She was this like maverick of her day, rebel and everything, and Dooku wanted so badly to be her Padawan, then he gets Yoda instead. But Qui-Gon came up reading prophecies, having obviously experiences like we see here. Like Dooku came up again, the last kids of the High Republic. He understands what it was supposed to be. He's close enough to it. And now he's walking around 10 years after quitting, coming back for a business visit. And he's like, what the fuck happened to you? Like this, there used to be joy in these halls. There used to be color. There used to be, Dooku as a kid heard the stories of them wearing white and gold. Like, this is like, well, you guys are sitting around gossiping about whether or not there was a Sith. You should be up trying to figure it out.
Figuring it out instead of just waiting for it. Yeah.
Well, and like, again, it goes, it's so good. Like it goes
it's
back.
So good.
It's just
so damn good.
I literally got so excited over this, I lost my train of thought. Oh, it goes back to Attack of the Clones, like you were saying, Alden. Like, and we were having this conversation in our group chat the other day, where I was like, I've always been so dissatisfied by the fact that we've never known what is in Dooku's heart. The Senate is already under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith. We don't know what's in his heart when he's saying that, because he shows up back to Coruscant and starts bootlicking for Palpatine. Like, is that part of Palpatine's plan? Psych the Jedi out, freak them out. Is that part of the plan?
I think it's sort of like Dooku learning from Costana. Yeah, Master Costana. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, you're very cute. Appreciate you, Eli. Yeah, the whole idea of, I think that he's sort of doing a Palpatine there, where it's like he goes back and bootlicks because it didn't go his way and because he ended up having to fight them. But let's say Obi-Wan said, you know what, man, you're right. Qui-Gon would want this. Fuck yeah, team up time. I think, I'm not saying Dooku comes back to the light, but I am saying he tries to splinter maybe the Sith.
Yeah, and it's like it. I've said before to you guys and online that, like, part of me has always wondered if Dooku never should have been an acolyte of Sidious. If, like, as like a thought experiment, like, what if Dooku and the Separatist Alliance is legitimate?
Yeah.
Like, the only issue is that Dooku is a dark Jedi and is steeped in the dark side, but he isn't. Like he's doing bad things, but the Separatists aren't comedically evil like they are in the Clone Wars. And that's another big part of like this journey for Dooku. Because again, like by the time we see Dooku during the Clone Wars, he's somebody who has galactic domination on the mind. He's not trying to liberate the galaxy anymore. He wants to be a tyrant.
It's to destroy the Republic and replace it with. But at that point, they won't be a Confederacy anymore because they'll be the thing. Like,
they will be a Sith Empire.
They will be a Sith Empire. So,
like, so you have to transition all the way to him being.
That's why,
like,
honestly, like,
evil.
I know that, and we'll get into this conversation probably at the end. Like, what would you like to see in a Tales season 2? But I kind of want like a bunch more Dookus. Like, and I don't want that to be my answer.
I was Thalbor for a second.
I kind of want. But there really are those sort of there's still those nuances to explore. Like they've given us more answers, but also more questions. And in terms of the Mace team up, one thing that I love is that I'm obsessed with what Rian Johnson wrote in The Last Jedi of what Luke says to Rey, to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies is vanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that the thing is that Mace Windu, as we know, Matthew Stover's great line, like Mace Windu loves the Republic. Mace Windu does think that if the Jedi die, the light dies.
Mm-hmm.
He's
that
not
was a great moment though.
He's so like, that's why he gets the council seat. That's why
I was gonna say,
and
Dooku could have gotten it.
Jedi. Dooku calls him, and you know, canonically, again, it's one of those things like you have a little imagination. Dooku probably already held one because he holds one in Jedi Lost, but you also can't train people while you're holding one. So there you go. There's your answer usually. But Mace is all about the Jedi order. Dooku is about the Jedi purpose,
experience, and everything.
But they have their opposite sides of the coin, where Mace is a company man. Dooku could have been the company man, but they're equally proud. They're both the master duelists. They're both at one point or another have been the right hand of the father. They were such a perfect pair. And again, as you were saying, Jarod, in the trailers and stuff, like to see somebody be like, get Mace Windu to be like, please stop, is an impactful moment.
See, my thing, and I wrote this down because the whole theme of choices was to do what's right or to do what you've been told to do. And like that, you got to think, I mean, that goes to like even people that have experienced real wartime, do I go burn this whole village of Vietnamese people down? Like, is that the right thing to do? Or is it what I've been told to do? And it's like, that's the whole theme of that episode.
Yeah.
And it's kind of brutal to watch.
There's another fantasy franchise whose creator has been very disappointing, and we don't even need to name it, but you all know the one, very magical. There's that line in that franchise of, now we must all choose between what is right and what is easy. Yeah. And that goes back to Dagobah. That goes back to that's Frodo and Gandalf. I wish none of this had ever happened. And he's like, so do all experience such times. Like it's about how you internalize and answer and here's a great example, choices. You had, with the context of the Sith Lord, the third one, we know that Yaddle and Dooku end up at similar places with their work experience. Ideologically, maybe they're different, but they both were like, this is not it. They're all at that funeral of that master that they were investigating the death of. Nobody had the clarity or the confidence or the sense of self, Dooku included, to say, I'm sorry, but when the grieving period's over, we all have to talk.
Yes, we got to figure this out.
If somebody, we are not functioning
where we
to
are
our highest capacity. Where are we as a team? Like, Scotty, sometimes you got to hold a staff meeting. Like we would have production meetings all the time at my last gig. Like you have to sit down and say something's not right. I know I'm not the only one that knows that something is, the office
wrong
is off.
Yes.
And no one can, and that goes all the way to Revenge of the Sith. If Yoda just showed more compassion to Anakin, Siege of Mandalore, if Ahsoka and Anakin had just had that call, there's always that moment. And the tragedy of the Dooku ones is that nobody ever stops to have one. Ever.
God.
The one human one you get is like in passing with Qui-Gon. So,
well, it's funny because the best line from that whole episode was, and I kind of paraphrased it and quoted it exactly. It's what Mace said. He said, "Luckily, we are guided by our counsel, our politics, nor our ego." And I'm like, ooh, because I mean, we could talk about this forever, but like the council isn't always right. It's so hard to admit it. Like as a teacher, my administration isn't always right. We're actually in the classroom watching shit go down.
Look, Dooku's team cap. in the Marvel Civil War.
Exactly.
Where he's like, I
Yes.
cannot have this. I'm sending Jarod into a rage. Dooku is like at that moment where he's like, wait a second, but what if
That was
you
bait? That
but
was
what if-
bait, and you and I both know it.
But I also do mean it.
Establishing a connection.
But I also do mean it. It's that moment of like Mace is the definition of I hit all the requirements.
Yeah.
I've done everything that's ever been asked of me and more. I'm an overachiever. Mace and Obi are similar in that regard.
Oh.
And Dooku, also a master, also one of the greats, also council material. But he's at that point where he's like, hold on a second. So 12 to 15 of us decide for everyone. And he had that breakthrough. And that's one thing the High Republic has added. Those are books, by the way. What's interesting is that by the time of the prequels,
pizza after eating them, though. Sorry.
No, you don't. By the time of the prequels, there's
Okay, Scotty.
just Yoda. There's just Yoda as Grand Master. At the time of the High Republic, there's 3 Grandmasters. There was a triumvirate. There was checks and balances. There was a way to have a deciding vote at all times. It was
like
Masters Laru, Yoda, and Veter that are all the Grandmaster. So then you get down to this era, and it's like Dooku's the only one that had clarity, like Saw Gerrera says, clarity of purpose. And that's why it's always fun to think about if Qui-Gon Jinn had survived Phantom Menace, because you would have seen a Brotherhood without banners type group form that would have been Anakin and Qui-Gon and whoever wanted to walk with them, and they maybe would have been able to turn Dooku back or
That'd be
something
cool
like
to
that.
see. I'm not gonna lie, to see Qui-Gon, like all 3 of them kind of in their own crew. Like that'd be kind of nice, because that's what they are. That's their character arc through and through, is they never really fell for the Jedi dogmatic point of view. Man, that's good. That's
I
beautiful.
just want to see Rail Averos.
Sorry, it's Ryle Averos.
Averos.
He talks. He's got a real.
That's from a book, Scotty.
In the book,
he's a Jedi who fucks a lot.
The only book I've read is
Like
the
a lot.
Bible. That being said, I need to.
Got mine right here.
That being
So
said,
I gotta bring up this. You watch these shows, and the music does resonate. For the most part.
Yeah.
But the freaking Sith Lord episode, when they did, because they did little blurbs of like Padme's ruminations. I mean, they did like really subtle musical cues. They even did the Battle of the Heroes for 2 seconds. I'm like, this is freaking wild. Like, this is like the best Star Wars music has been, like, for at least for me, since The Mandalorian. Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, this is like, they had a choral band singing at one point, but you get to see things like the works in this show. Like, I don't know. I guess it can lead into the last and final thought of this. Like, what could season 2 even do, if there even is going to be a season 2? I mean,
now here's the thing. Here
we go.
They did not. Like, yes, we agree that the Ahsoka ones are more supplemental and the Dooku ones are more substantial and original.
Meaty.
But the thing is that they are the 2 Jedi that left. The 3, like I said earlier, they end in the emotional breakthroughs of both. Who they become.
Yeah.
The Ahsoka, the grown woman who becomes Fulcrum, who becomes the gray, who becomes the white and meets Grogu. That starts there. The Dooku that is Count Dooku, the Sith Lord shooting lightning and everything, that starts there. They're bonded. So if you continue this 2 focus characters a season, you need to pick ones that have a story, that have stories that you can make the argument for. I already tweeted this. Season 2, Leia training with Luke, Ben training with Luke.
Ooh. Oh my god!
If you do the mother-son season, the year or so that she trained before she was pregnant, and then a period of his training, I'd love that. I'd love Rey and Orla Jareni was another pair I made.
Ooh, Orla would be great.
Yeah, because it's like Rey's there after Rise. Like, I got no boss. I got books. Like, it could be whatever she wants.
Have yellow lightsabers as well, right?
Like a way seeking type thing. So yeah, pairs like that of who
Can I build on what you just said, but go at a different direction, kind of?
Yes.
Ben and Leia with the through line being the family legacy you didn't ask for. Because Leia will eventually put her lightsaber down and go, a Jedi I am not. You can really get into her relationship with Anakin there. You can really mine that dynamic.
Dude.
Scotty?
Could Dave write that though?
Maybe.
That's part of it. It's like you're working in a territory that Dave is not familiar with writing in.
It's
like he can write Dooku
like,
any day or Ahsoka any day.
And Leia too, because like Leia was in Rebels, and
that's true.
Leia,
that's
I think that Dave's we talked about it in our text chat. He gets the hitters, he gets Obi-Wan. Chapter 6 of Mando, I mean, he wrote Luke. We can debate the effectiveness of the robot voice, but the writing of Luke
perfect.
Fucking crushed. So it's like I have no doubt that he could.
So
no, I know, but to do Ben is like such a
that's what I'm saying, is that you get to see Ben like living in that weird space of like him perceiving all of those negative emotions and like outlook that he feels like Han, Leia, and Luke have for him, and the pressure of the legacy. And again, it's the pressure of that legacy that goes both ways. Pressure of the legacy of I want to live up to Mom, Dad, and Uncle Luke, and then the perverted version of that of I need to become the new Vader, and how those two things exist in tandem with each other. One begets the other, where Leia is like, I'm not a Skywalker. I'm a fucking Organa. Like, you know, I like Luke, you're my brother. I love you. You're my brother. I own Luke Skywalker as my brother. I do not own Anakin Skywalker as my father. Vader can rot in hell. Like, so you get that dynamic with them. And then the flip side with Rey is Rey and Luke, the progenitors of the new Jedi Order.
Yeah, that is good.
Because, and it's one of the reasons why I love Rey so much and love like the prospect of telling a story with her down the road, is that Luke didn't learn the lessons. Luke repeats the same mistakes that Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Mace Windu made that created Darth Vader. He does the same thing that creates Kylo Ren, because he had these rose-colored glasses on about what the Jedi of old were, because he was hearing it from Jedi who didn't quite understand how they failed. They knew they were wrong. They knew they messed up. They knew that like they failed and caused the collapse of the order. They don't understand how they allowed it to happen.
That's beautiful.
So Luke goes into it and is doing his best to kind of replicate Obi-Wan and Yoda when that's not him, and he doesn't understand that this is damned to fail once again.
Beautiful.
So you get that. So you get that really cool. Oh, we get to see Luke's Jedi Order, but we also get to see Luke kind of making the same mistakes that will eventually lead to ruin. Mistakes that Rey got to learn from. She can do it right.
Yeah.
Because while she has an admiration and respect and love for Luke and her forebears as Jedi, she is now able to go, oh, I get it now. Okay. And then we get to see her beginning and how she gets to take Finn on as her first apprentice. And they get to learn together as a unit.
I think we're going to get that regardless of animation or live action.
It's like, I'm going to call attention to one of the best Star Wars stories written in the last couple years. There Is No Chaos by Michael McCoy.
That's right.
Damn right.
That dynamic at the end. I got you, son of a bitch. Like you get that dynamic at the end where the master and apprentice are like, we learn from each other. Like you don't know everything I know on like a, lightsaber go burr, here's how you swashbuckle kind of level. But like, I'm going to learn about me and what it means to be a Jedi through you.
Yeah.
You get to see Rey go on that journey now with Finn. And how they both, and before she was a Jedi, before he even knew he could touch the Force, they inspired each other so much to begin with. Rey made Finn want to be a hero. Finn made Rey want to like learn how to protect the people she cares about. Like both of them build from each other so much. So this co-teacher-student relationship could blossom into something so beautiful. And you juxtapose that with this with the student-teacher relationship that was damned to fail between Ben and Luke.
Hell
so
yeah.
I think that's where you go with
This is true right here. This comment: some of my favorite parts of Shadow of the Sith are the little glimpses at Luke's hubris, things he doesn't realize are a big no-no. Yeah, you get Luke.
Yeah,
you get a little bit of Ben. You get the way that he's already putting extra pressure on Ben with having Ben teach him in the classes, the way he acts on the adventure, the way he's sort of like he has a definitely I can
first year
solve
teacher
everything.
mistakes.
Yeah, honestly, like he's out there like the bravado and everything. And again, he accomplishes great. Again, when he in Last Jedi, when Mark Hamill beautifully does the because I was Luke Skywalker Jedi. Like that's fucking earned. Like the Mandalorian hallway scene is cool, but that's not even close to some of the stuff he does at his height. That was still Luke in his 20s. Still Luke in his 20s. How old is he in Jedi? I think he's 24.
Yeah.
Or 23.
23.
He's 19 in New Hope.
So he's essentially 28. He's pretty much
29.
all of our age.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 28, going on 29.
He's my age in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
he's yours in Return of the Jedi. He's like 28. By the time he's in his 40s, like again,
he's my age in Last Jedi.
This man, this man fought.
That is not how math works, sir.
He fought a fucking like massive ass like dragon thing on like a diamond crystal moon. With a haunted Sith mask. He like did like an anime cross slash breaking of the mask. Like this guy's you can't even consider you
went through shit.
It's like it's nuts, man. It's nuts how powerful he is.
Anytime Luke Skywalker enters a room, he's got an anime intro.
Dude, he does. He does a whole like Naruto run and that shit.
Yeah, he's like like that thing that people floating over the field. And shit.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus
But
Christ.
get the fuck! I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Ban him.
Go hang myself.
Ban this man.
Bad Eli.
But yeah, it's like, but throughout that novel, you still get Luke being like, "Oh, guess I." Guess this man's not old either. He's fucking lying.
Nikki's 50.
But Nikki's like 55.
We're in our 60s.
Pete's age.
Nikki looks great for 70.
He does. Nikki is he's from time immemorial. He's kind of like Gandalf, like he was sent down and he just
you want to know what the secret is? You want to know what the secret is? Adrenochrome.
Yeah.
Baby's blood.
I don't know if they still
Blood
have it
Boys.
because QAnon Anonymous, which is a podcast about debunking conspiracy theories.
Scotty,
I have to say it every time. No, I don't know if their TeePublic still exists because they stopped making like made to order merch, at least for their apparel. But they used to have on TeePublic a design that was only on mugs that said "Don't talk to me until I've had my adrenochrome." And I need to get one still. Like I need that to be my go-to mug. Like I just want to take that places and just
Wait, adrenochrome, is that when you like cycle out
like
your whole
standing
blood?
out on your deck?
Is that what
No.
that is?
It is a chemical in the bloodstream of children that the Satanist demon Jew Democrats will put babies in
the
incubators.
adrenochrome is only there if
aborted
you
fetuses and
horrify
just
the
drink
children
it
first.
Cool.
The Satanist blood
children
drinking.
record their screams and play it for a woman you're trying to get to confess she's part of it.
Oh yeah.
I think stem cells are sick. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm a science teacher. I support stem cell research, baby. Go Tigers.
Oh yeah. Go Tigers.
Listen, we're spitting truth bombs. I'm tired. Truth bombs, and we're gaining viewers. So there you go.
That's right.
There you go.
That's
You
what we
said
said.
you said go Tigers and we got people coming. We got Misa back.
Last line. I want to bring up because we didn't really even talk about what Yaddle said. Oh my God, I'm afraid. And she says, "I know you are." I'm like, oh. What a destructive wreck. I mean, just like brutal.
Yaddle.
I mean,
You know what
he
it's
was
giving?
saying he was
You know what it's
afraid.
giving?
What?
It's giving Shakti and the Force Unleashed.
Oh,
It is a little bit.
you like that? You like that awful trash, huh?
I mean, I love the
Dark
game.
Jedi
I'm not a
ass.
big fan of the costume, but Michael, you just missed me.
That's
shout
not what you
out as
said
a-
last
as a
night.
great
That
Star Wars
costume.
author.
That costume moved thousands of dollars and like premium statues and shit.
But
Premium
no,
McCats, yeah.
no, go back to go back to her last words to Galen. You know, she's talking about like your power is wasted with Vader. You could be so much more. You'll never convince me to betray my master. Dear boy, the Sith always betray one another, but I'm sure you'll learn that soon enough. As she falls back into the Sarlacc pit. Like, it's that same level where, like, she
said that to Galen Erso?
No, she said that to Galen Merrick.
No, I know.
The only true Galen.
I'm just being an asshole.
But it's that same level of, like, and again, it's a Jedi level of peace that you don't really get to see very often. Because
I mean, like, it reminds me of fucking Game of Thrones season 1 spoilers. When Theon first turns and goes to behead, or maybe it's in season 2. Nikki, is this in season 1 or season 2? You tell me.
Nikki.
You know what? I think
you got to speak his language when you talk to him.
I was like, Nikki.
He's all
Nikki. How you say?
But
Game of Thrones.
Give me your escargot.
Theon beheads Sir Roderick Cassell, who was, one of their key guys at House Stark, and his last words are, "God's help you, Theon Greyjoy. Now you are truly lost." Like, this ability to be like, I'm on the way out, but I died with the high ground, and I love the visual of Yaddle lifting it and unleashing light back into the room. Like, you don't get to forget the light side where you came from, the light. And then Palpatine's like,
that was the first time in years, y'all, the Force theme was really effective on me. It's because the sequel trilogy kind of like was like, all right, here's these same fucking notes. Oh, I curse. Holy shit, I never curse. But here's these same notes you hear every other 5 minutes. But this time it was like, Yaddle's like, dun, 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 dun,
I will say though that
Moody.
like
It's
that
a Moody
door.
version.
Did anyone think the door closed a little too firmly?
Yeah.
Like it was really like
whoa!
Well, I'm gonna assume because the door is kind of like a gear shape that she was like in one of the grooves.
She was in the middle.
Yeah.
She was in one of those grooves.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna assume. But like,
when she raised it,
I thought that was a frog splat. I really was like, I thought she got fucking froggered by a car.
I grunted. I didn't even guess.
That absolutely was.
Like whenever it came down, I was stunned. But I also do want to call attention. I love Alden's description of Palpatine whenever the light comes through, because he just very like what we do in the shadow, kind of like vampire dabs away. But no, you're absolutely right. And I love that like indomitable spirit where she's like, I'm not, it's like, it's weird. And I don't know if this will make any sense, but there's almost this moment of like righteous indignation where she's like, you don't get to kill me with the Force.
Not with a door.
We we
Not
live in the Force.
Don't slam the door on me.
You can't kill me like this. And even when you do run me through or behead me or whatever, I live in the Force, you know? And again, like going back to the Shakti thing, it's those moments that you don't really get to see where like the Jedi take pity on the Sith.
Yes, always.
And the Sith don't hate the Jedi. They do hate them, but they don't hate them because of everything they say. The Sith claim to hate the Jedi because they're weak, because they're an affront, because of their arrogance, because they're this, they're that, because they're the evil ones. The Sith hate the Jedi because they're afraid of the Jedi. Because they're the same as like modern day conservatives that are like, everyone's a snowflake and they're all weak. However, if my son sees a drag queen, I will have a brain hemorrhage. Like you cannot have both.
That mermaid is black.
Jerry, look at Jerry.
I'm gonna die. You all did that black mermaid.
There is a colored mermaid.
You cannot have both. They cannot be this weak little thing. Like Joseph Scrimshaw says it so well all the time on Force Center. Like by the time of Snoke, knowing Palpatine's in the background, Snoke and Palpatine are so afraid of Luke Skywalker that they're afraid that if this man breathes, 50 new Jedi will appear. Like they want him out so because they are terrified.
That's what they're like.
On the other side,
kill him. Put it in the crawl. Put it in the crawl. We're killing him.
The crawl. He's dead. But the
Not
Jedi
only
are
that,
like
there's also like an element where like they kind of give him the Voldemort treatment a couple times too.
You're
where
right.
they will just say the Last Jedi.
Jedi, yeah.
They don't kind of do that. Don't even want to say the name Luke Skywalker.
It's only like what Snoke says that it sticks out because it happens so infrequently. The Skywalker lives, hope lives, and then
Luke.
When Palpatine finally says it, the your master, and he says Luke Skywalker. That was so surreal. But
God,
but it's those moments of
saying
clarity.
it because he's gone. Like it's like Voldemort
Yes.
and Dumbledore.
Yeah.
God
He's
damn
dead.
it! I don't want to
He's dead. He's dead.
I love it.
But yeah, this whole idea that they pity them is true. It's Yaddle, and again, I love that point. You don't get to indirectly kill me with a door. You're not a clone shooting down someone from the back in Order 66.
Yeah.
This is not an explosion. This is not. I'm not dying by hazard. If you're gonna do this, you're going to kill me. You're going to earn it. And that's a condemnation on him too. I mean, Obi-Wan invented this, right? That's strike me down. Like that's you want to own it? Because at that point now we know Obi is 2-0 on him, not just 1-0 on him.
Isn't that the best?
And
God,
so then
that's
he is very much 2-1, and that one is a very big.
But that one is more of a chase than a duel.
Yes. It's to get them off the track of Leia. I mean,
I would argue that that's not a duel because Obi never is like, let's
it's
do it.
not a duel because Obi-Wan isn't competitive in it at all. He gets sunned,
but by choice.
immediately.
But by
like
choice.
me with trivia and you.
No, conversation for a different day. Obi-Wan Kenobi is 2. By the time everything's said and done, Obi-Wan Kenobi is 2-2 with Darth Vader.
I don't know about all
this
that.
is a whole different argument.
We're gonna have to bring this to the
listen. We're talking Tales of the Jedi, not Star Wars.
What is the what's the governing body for college sports? NCAA.
I don't know actually. The SEC. It depends on.
No, I mean, I'm glad you said. Which one did you say, Alden?
He said the NCAA.
But you know exactly what my brain was doing.
You almost said the NAACP.
I almost did.
All I can say is Japanese.
That's wildly inappropriate.
I'm so glad I didn't do it. I made it through. I said the right one, but I overplayed my hand, and you could tell what I almost said.
Jerry needs to go to sleep. Look at Jerry, guys. One last line. The best line of this whole thing. I already said it was the other
Jerry
one.
will turn into a pumpkin.
Let me give you peace.
Need to take my
Master
pills.
Yaddle.
Oh.
I was like,
because again, he has to tell himself. He has to tell himself that it's right.
Yeah,
you know, that's like Scotty. We just saw that in Rings of Power. Like,
yes,
Sauron's like,
yes,
I'm healing the land. I'm going to bring peace to Middle Earth, and then Galadriel's like, by ruling it, and he's like, I mean, like, yeah, but like, but it's gonna be awesome.
Again, it goes back to that like Thanos.
Aren't my eyes great though?
It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking
cheekbones.
It's gonna be cool. Like,
be a lot of fire. Oh, Jesus.
I listen. I use mane and tail on my hair. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you could.
For real.
Oh,
yeah. I want more young Dukes, man.
God.
I also love that he has a different hilt. If I get some extra cash soon, I'm buying it.
Yeah,
so sexy.
I don't blame you. I wanted to say the fact that we got more Yaddle and it was well done. That's just...
it makes me want her to get 3 shorts.
I know.
And do 3 Yaddle. Oh my god. Do 3
so much Yaddle.
Do 3 Yaddle shorts in season 2 and put him in one of hers.
Ooh.
That way.
Let me ask you this:
let's see an
I like
adventure.
the idea of putting Dooku and Yaddle.
Is Yaddle in the new? Is Yaddle in the new Shadows of the Empire initiative? Is Yaddle in it or no?
Oh no, Yaddle makes an appearance in one of the new books.
The new Shadows of the Empire books.
And she taught they're very consistent. I was wondering how they were going to do the voice and everything, and it's very they write her that.
Oh wow!
She doesn't talk like Yoda.
She doesn't talk like a.
That was established.
The Skywalker saga has
Lego
more
Star Wars
canon
Skywalker
respect
saga.
than the Ahsoka novel.
That's true. Lego
Jesus,
Star Wars,
Jared.
the Skywalker saga. She speaks normally, and then in Out of the Shadows, she meets Vern.
Interesting. That makes the Luke's line in a Book of Boba Fett so much better.
It does, because it's like, do you know anyone else that spoke like that? Because I know his fucking species, and they don't. Like that's the subtext of what Luke is saying.
It's like, why did he do that? Why did he do that?
Dude, I hope
why did he do that?
I hope that Grogu's first word is very, very, very well done and like perfectly earned. And like I hope it's dad or something. Or I think I said this a long time ago. I know this man's got to go to bed, but I got. Could you imagine?
Y'all are good.
Dude, I'm gonna make myself cry. Could you imagine if it's like some climactic battle and Din is like bleeding out or whatever? Grogu's trying to use the Force. I'm talking when the climactic story event finally happens. Like I'm talking biggest of stakes possible, and Grogu still hasn't said his first word, and Din's like fading, and Grogu just holds up two of his fingers and says, "Clan of two," or if Grogu touches the mud horn and goes 2, and that's his first word, man, I would be on the couch just bawling. It was something like that, because his first word can't be something like, it could be dad, and that would be cute. What?
Got him.
I'm literally. I want you guys to know that like I'm literally taking my meds while I'm like doing this story. Like this could not be the most. Like,
you look
hit
like
the hardest.
you look like the typical radio DJ popping your pills with
taking pills with shades indoors.
The Bombadcast.
It's like, hey, hold on. You are literally you were a Saul Goodman right now.
They don't have evening shows anymore. We should bring back evening radio.
I agree. This is what this is. Essentially
that.
Starting with like Star Wars Coast to Coast AM, I will be Star Wars George Nori.
I had a producer I worked for used to call into that show all the time. Anyway.
Wow.
What do you think? Did the man's head disappear, or did it just bounce out of the hood?
Emperor Palpatine knew what
I'm on the run. That being said, had a blast with you guys. We should plug our own respective shows. I've got to pee for the 4th time. For those that don't know, I don't drink often. I drink a whole apostolic red, so I'm doing pretty good.
Isn't that apothic? Isn't that word apothic?
It's a good thing you teach science and not any type of language.
I was being stupid.
This man is going Catholic on us.
The last thing I'm gonna plug is that
Catholicism is showing.
Jarod is.
I changed my mind. Three shorts should be about Grogu because he technically counts.
Oh, dude, Grogu is such sacred ground. Grogu is the most untouchable Star Wars IP of all time. Grogu will never show up in anything else.
I was
wish convinced
we could ask Gruge about it, but Gruge didn't show up tonight. So
no, Gruge was not here tonight, unfortunately.
No.
Anyway, let's get everyone to plug their stuff. I'm gonna let Jerry go first because he's a trivia winner. I'm sorry, loser.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He is. Yeah. You're in my world now. It's working. Oh, God damn it. I actually thought you deleted that when we had our conversation. You were like, "Yeah, I'm done calling you the Gray Jedi. I understand," and I was deceived. Okay.
Have sex, excel. Put my hands against. Put my best against. Put my 10. Put my spend. Have sex, excel. Ultimately can show.
You were deceived by a lie. We all were.
But for they were all of them deceived. But another ring was made.
See, I was gonna go with the Old Republic trailer. Just you sat.
Oh yeah. Those
you
are hot.
were deceived. No, you guys can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast where we talk all things Star Wars and comic book movie news weekly. This week, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to have an Andor catch-up episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic. And tomorrow we will be having a news roundup episode of the Nerd Academy podcast. So tune in for all of that. We would be honored if you would join us. All of the lovely gentlemen you see on this screen right now are frequent guests on all of our stuff. You can also catch me in Ionized Bastards, a Star Wars RPG show on all remaining systems, hosted by Michael McCoy. We're having a lovely time with that. Episode 3 should be out soon. It is one of my favorite things I've gotten to work on ever, and I am also the main character of Epic Confrontations, Star Wars in a Galaxy's
that is true. He really is. We got to give him that. He really is the main. He is. Jarod is like he's good
John
God.
Cena.
He is the John Cena of that.
No, I'm like if all of Epic Confrontations is Avengers Infinity War, I'm Thanos.
Oh, I don't know. You're Tony. You're Tony.
No. I mean in terms of like
Thanos.
I mean in terms of like he's the bad guy, but it's his story.
Oh yeah,
Infinity War. Yeah,
that's what I say. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just God. Great plug. That being said,
every
let's
story.
bring in my Blurred and Diaz.
Blurred and Diaz, Robin Diaz. Look, you could find me. You can find, what day is it? It's the 3rd. You can find me 5 days from now, voting in our midterms.
Look at this.
Vote. Vote early if it hasn't already closed for you. Vote your ass off. There's a lot on the line.
Hey, I've heard this is allowed, so you can just vote multiple times.
You could just, apparently. So they've said.
I actually went to my
you can vote if you're dead
office with a bag full of ballots the other day.
Basically
I flipped off an oath keeper as I went.
You vote in this country the same way that the fucking Grinch and Whoville handles mail. It's just that big funnel and everything. So like
flies through.
You can literally get a whole ass Grinch
rejection
into the jury, alimony, jury. Yeah.
Mail-in ballot.
That's how you can vote.
And that's how January 6th happened.
I actually just voted yesterday. So
That's true.
yeah.
Hell
Go
yeah.
do it. Go do it for
Go
real.
vote. And then that Alden Diaz, Twitter, Instagram, THATALDENDIAZ, Octo Radio, Star Wars Podcast. What were you gonna try to do? Spell
I was gonna try to do THATD. Damn it! God, I've practiced.
You are illiterate.
THATALDINDJAZ.
At that Alden Diaz, THATALDENDIAZ, at Octo Radio, AHCHTO Radio. And that's across all your Star Wars needs. We've got Andor discussions coming. We have a Tales of the Jedi discussion coming with Pink Milk that I've been referencing. Continue the Andor's coverage. I have an episode coming up talking about Taika Waititi in Star Wars and how Love and Thunder is a Star Wars movie with Joseph Scrimshaw. I have Zoraida Cordova, the author of High Republic Convergence, coming on. So that's all Octa Radio stuff. There's going to be a couple special little Andor things popping up on the feed. Casterly Talk with myself and Ken Knapsack, where we talk about the World of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. We also talk about the worlds of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, the Jackson movies. All of that is still ongoing, even though we're in the off season. I recently wrote for StarTrek.com. I'm going to be continuing to do that stuff. I am also a cast member. I mean, hopefully, if they want whatever I just pitched. And then you can also catch me as a cast member in Ionized Bastards, where I play an Athorian scumbag lawyer. It's been a lot of fun. That's on all remaining systems, as Jarod already said. And then I guess the last thing is that I'm also on the One and Done Film Club with my Rebels rewatch co-host Nikki and our great friend Reed. And
damn. He won't
and
stop,
Epic Confrontations.
The Kevin Gates of Star Wars podcasting over
I'm
here.
the number one ranked.
What?
He doesn't sleep.
Look, we just watched the Andy Warhol eating a cheeseburger clip.
That's so good. I'm also the number one ranked contender.
I can't finish that sentence. Keep talking, Alden. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What was I talking about? I just said I was the number one ranked contender. That's all.
Oh,
Good.
okay. I was about to make a joke that is unrelated, but never mind. I'll say it off air.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Gerry, can you say anything? I think next week we're talking about Wakanda Forever, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that is a movie that we were going to watch and talk about. Hey, listen, pretty soon, I think you might be seeing the debut of another character on Ionized Bastards. I'm just saying, you might want to get.
Oh
pretty
yeah,
excited about
in an
that, 'cause
upcoming installment.
Cool.
I know him. You know, it's no big deal. I know him.
Also, Barack Obama, Bombadcast.
Bombad. That's right.
Barack for Bombad. Hashtag Barack for
We're gonna
Bombad.
make that work, and we'll take Bush. Just kidding. We won't take Bush.
Jarod will take Bush.
He will take something funny.
Jarod will take Bush at a mixed martial.
Oh, the
He's
memes
gotta say-
that would come. The memes that would come from Bush being on here.
Wait,
everything.
I got
like,
Bush coasters. Hold on.
Someone whispering in his ear, like, "Hey, they want you to go on Bombadcast."
A second host just hit the stream.
Dude,
Here we
like,
go. Look, here we go. I understand small business growth. I was one. Look, these are all good. These are all good George coasters. We'll let our friends be the peacekeepers, and the great country called America will be the pacemakers. There you go.
Fool me
Dude,
once, shame
They
on
have
you.
miscalculated.
Fool me
They have
twice,
miscalculated me
can't
as a
get fooled again.
leader. That's a good one.
Dude, this man on Bombadcast, could you imagine explaining to George Bush things in the prequels that are about him, but without saying it?
Higher.
Be like, hey,
Oh God, the
I
Arctic
kind of,
flag behind him.
I kind of like this yaddle.
You're not
So,
going
I
to.
could hear him. All right.
When are we going to talk
Yeah.
about Oppo Rancisis?
Why can't Yoda get something going on up top? You know, he's just got the sides there, like Friar
I'm
Tuck.
just saying, like, yeah, Queen just seems a little stubborn. Maybe they should elect their presidents there on Naboo.
New gun ray. I knew.
This is a Bombadcast quote. Rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? This is good. I know that human beings and fish.
Why
can
are we only now
coexist
finding out about your
peacefully.
I have to go to bed.
It's clearly a budget. It's got a lot of numbers in it. Good
You know what?
God.
This is what it's gonna be.
That is a
This is what it's gonna
Bushism.
be. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. You know, Bush and Barack never got to go head to head. So what we're gonna do is
on Bombad
Bush versus Barack in epic confrontation.
Star
Wars trivia.
That'd be
Everybody
incredible.
gets docked 10 points for war crimes.
Yes.
Yeah, off the bat, you're in the negative. Off the bat.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Scotty, I
We
just
can
wanna
build that.
say-
We can build that as the most Bush on the internet without looking up the 70s porn. actually.
I
The
just
last
want to
one.
say, please read it.
I think we agree the past is over. Good God, that's a good one.
I really badly want a collection of both Trump and Alex Jones coasters like that.
Oh,
Like I
that's
just
so
want
good.
a coaster that says this hurricane is the wettest we've ever seen in the terms of water.
Man,
That
person,
one is
camera, TV.
that in
That's what
terms
we
of
made, camera,
water
TV.
sends me into another galaxy.
I know
I
things.
cannot believe that was said.
Anyway,
Rick Perry, watch him. He's a comer. Actual Trump quote.
Remember when he bought McDonald's for those athletes? It was great. Anyway,
and then it sat out
Jarod.
for like 4 hours.
Anyway.
Jordan has a Caribbean black accent. Actual Alex Jones quote. I won on a coaster.
Oh. Okay. I hope everyone stays Bombad, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening and their weekends and what's to come.
the rest of their day, it's fucking Friday. Sorry, kids.
Blurden, what should the wonderful do? What do we say here as we leave, Blurden?
We stay Bombad.
Keep looking in the camera. Keep looking in the camera.
Oh, I'm looking.
Glizzy, 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 glizzy,
love it.
glizzy,
Good
glizzy,
God, he
glizzy,
did it.
glizzy.
Did you say impossible? Pasquale? Only kidding, Jackie. I've changed my tune because I finally thought of a possible dream that we can all share. What is it?
Pasquale?
It's a dream about a world when nobody is poor or sick or hungry.
Oh, now that's a dream we can make come true.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right.
As I point up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A soundless disregard, a broken bottle top,
and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
I'm asking him to change his ways.
come on, change. No message could have been any clearer.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Time for us to take a break, but we wouldn't dream of being gone for long. See you in a little bit.
Trivia loser. Trivia loser. Trivia loser. He can't even hear me because I muted him.
You goddamn.
One last time, let's watch Paul Stanley eat some ice cream for everyone at home. Let's all enjoy that. How many of you would have thought you'd get this video of the Kiss Cruise? I sure didn't. I have one special announcement. I haven't said this yet to Jerry either. I think I did. Bombad Gaming next week will not be Bombad Gaming. We're actually going to talk about the Kiss Cruise, me and my buddy Chase. So you will get all footage from the Kiss Cruise. I'm going to bring Jerry back in, tell him I love him. Love you, bud. I'm going to bring Alden back in, tell him I love him too.
So when do we do post-credit scenes?
I just wanted to try it real quick for fun. Anyway, let's bring Jared back in for 2 seconds. Jared, what do you have to say?
Stay bombed.
Okay, not worth it. Anyway, hey everyone, have a great evening. We'll see you later. Take it easy.